It's Thursday. I'm back. I know I said I wouldn't be back. I said last week was the last Thursday stream. I didn't plan on streaming this week. I actually just happened to have today off due to vacation time that I had to use. Something showed up in the mail. I figured let's unbox it. Let's throw it in a printer. Let's melt some plastic. So, tonight we will be installing the Phaetus Dragonfly BMO hotend. This actually just arrived about an hour ago via FedEx from Phaetus. Now, I will admit, they did send this to me on the condition that I do a review on it, and I will be doing a review. But I haven't been paid for anything. The only thing that's been exchanged is this hotend and some swag. So, there are some things I can already see I will like. There are some things that I will have to make some comments on, but it's still in the box. So, let's see how it prints. How's everyone doing tonight? Ooh. Phaetus, which is a Triangle Labs clone, which is a Mosquito clone. So, Phaetus and Triangle Labs, honestly, I'm pretty sure they have the same manufacturer. When I was comparing my Phaetus Dragon High Flow and my Triangle Labs Standard Flow, I think they're the same. They might be one OEM distributing different tiers of the same product to different companies. But for all intents and purposes, I really can't tell the difference between the two. I will say that the presentation and perhaps the build quality on the Phaetus are slightly higher than the Triangle Labs. But unfortunately, I don't have exactly the same model of each, so I can't do an apples to apples comparison. As for them being a clone of the Mosquito, yes, that is the elephant in the room. However, there are quite a few design changes between the two. Really, the only thing in common is the bimetallic heat break and the surgical steel tube. That's really the only thing they share. Most of the other stuff is completely different in terms of how it's built. So I don't want to get into that elephant. But we have a hotend. We're going to throw it in a printer. We're going to see how it prints. So let's unbox it. And this is the BMO variant. Now, there are two variants of the Dragonfly. There's the BMO, and I think the other variant is called the BMS. So, let's get this out of the box here. It does come in a fancy box. Oh, we got a little pull tab on the bottom here. And there we go. Nothing in there. So it's not quite as fancy as the Dragon box, which has a little magnet in it. That one's like that. But it's a box. How often do you put your hotend back in the box? Nathan Sawyer, $4.99, supporting the hobby. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. As always, for anyone who does donate to the stream, it goes to pretty much supporting the stream and equipment for the stream and other stuff for printer projects. So anyone who donates, I thank you. So that comes out. Let's see what we got here. We got our hotend. I will say it does have a good weight to it. Now, there is a lot of copper in here, and I do have a scale, so I probably will be comparing this at most to the V6. Let me lock the focus on this camera. So I do have a V6 here that I can do the comparison when I need to compare stuff. Okay. So anyways, oh, 1 second. See, I don't have a moderator, so I have to moderate stuff. So I think that's how I do that. There we go. Joe Juice. Wow, that was my very first spammer. Well, if you are still watching the stream, you can't comment, but you are welcome to continue watching it. So anyways, so there's a lot of copper to this. So It definitely feels heavy in the heater block end. The rest of it is aluminum. What else do we got here? We have a nozzle, and I believe this is a copper-plated nozzle. So that's a copper nozzle with I believe it's usually a nickel plating. It's a 0.4 millimeter nozzle. And we got our bag of goodies. Now, what do we have here? Yes, spam already. I'm a big-time YouTuber. I got 34 viewers. I'd be doing this if there's 2 viewers. I'm usually, I'm down here anyways working on stuff. I started streaming because I'd rather talk to you guys than talk to myself. So, try and get everything out of this bag. So, what is this? We have some thermal paste. We got 2 wrenches. Allen keys. We got a whole bunch of screws. Oh, wow. I'm actually impressed. Okay, I'm going to touch on that. Bone and clip, which we got an extra one. And we got this little copper or brass little sleeve. Not sure what that is for. But we do have instructions. And that is it. So, put this all to the side here. Let's take a look at the instructions. See how good the English is. So it is a full set of instructions on how to take it apart and put it back together. Okay, I see. So that's actually kind of nice. One of the things I will say probably about this hot end, no stickers. No, there is no stickers in the box. They did send me some stickers in the package, but no stickers in the box. The Dragon didn't come with stickers either. Yeah, it is a rounded heater block. There is quite a bit of machining. There's actually quite a bit of machining to this design. And for those that know, the more machining, the more it costs. So I'm assuming there's reasons for it, and I can kind of see why they did some of the things they did. And I believe it's, I don't know if it's copper or brass, but it is plated. So that usually helps with filament buildup on it and residue. So, let's see here. So one thing that I think this will be great for is, and I'll bring up the 2 variants they have. So there are 2 variants of the Dragonfly. This is the variant I have right now. It's the BMO variant, okay? Now the reason I got this one is everything that I've seen document-wise shows there's 2 variants. There's a groove mount variant, which is the one I have. And then there's a, whatever this style is. Now this one is, I believe that's the, I can't remember what it's called. It's used in all the Enders, Creality printers, essentially. Somebody will bring me up. But essentially, from what it looks like, these are meant to be drop-ins. So if you have like an Ender 3 or whatever style printer, you can drop one of these and it mounts right in. If you have anything that's groove mount, you can drop it right in. So I don't have anything that is, okay, Mark 8, okay. So I don't have anything in this style here. So I went with the groove mount because I'm going to throw it in my switch wire, which already has a V6 in it. So it's just a simple swap, okay? However, it doesn't say it on any of these product pages. Any of these pictures show it. Now it does show the groove mount screws off here, okay? So it does show the groove mount is removable. It shows this, and I'll touch on this part later. However, looking back at this, it's rigid mount. Those are 4 tapped holes there. So you can actually mount this rigidly. You don't need to use the groove mount. So I did not know that. That you can actually, you know, hard mount this. And I think this is probably the same hole pattern as a Dragon. So if now it's not conical, so there might be some clearance issues because this is a different heatsink design. It might be a little bit smaller. But yeah, that's you can hard mount that. Now, For tonight, I am going to mount it groove mount, simply for the fact that I have the groove mount already printed. It's nice they give you a wrench big enough to tighten all these. Actually, no. They don't give you a wrench big enough to tighten this one. I can't tighten the groove mount, guys. Wrong size Allen key. Oh well. Tighten that as best I can by hand. So anyways, yeah, that is one thing. Now, that surprised me. I legit did not know that. And also, in terms of drop-in, this little brass tube that they give you here is meant to be used in conjunction with the thermal paste, and I'm assuming they can. This is mostly for the variant that you see, or drop in on like the ender printers and whatnot, because that usually comes with a beaded thermistor. So the thermistor isn't in that brass tube. This allows you to put your little beaded thermistor into this tube with the thermal paste and reuse it instead of having to buy a new thermistor. So that's actually kind of smart. So you can reuse that if you already have it. Now this will be getting, I have a new thermistor and a 40 watt, 24 volt heater I'm going to be throwing in it. We'll do that there. What else? Is there any other random little things? They recommend hot tightening it. However, it is the same style of bimetallic heat break as the Mosquito and the Dragons that I've been using for the past like 2 years. I've never hot tightened those nozzles, and I've never had a leak issue. So I'm going to try that without it. And it seems to come mostly with just assembly instructions. Now, in reality, you can throw your heater, thermistor in, throw a nozzle in, put in your printer. You don't need to take it apart. However, it does come apart. I am actually not going to be taking it apart on stream, simply for the fact there's a lot of really small screws in here, and I'd rather print with it for a while so I can do all the actual testing. And then if I go to take it apart and something goes wrong, I already have it all printed. I can still do a review on it and just mention, hey, don't take it apart. So these are some really small screws that you have to undo. There's 2 there. And yeah, so there's 2 there that you have to take out. And this whole thing, luckily they have a picture of it, so I can show you how it actually goes together. So, why choose Phaetus over TL? At this point, it's hard to say. Fancier packaging. You seem to get a little bit more extra stuff with it. Build quality on this one is very good. I don't have the TL variant, so I don't know. But I believe the Phaetus, from what I've heard from other people, I've never heard from sure, is the Phaetus is the original manufacturer, or they get first pick from the OEM, and then the rest go to TL. That's what I've heard. I'm not 100% sure on that. Okay, so this is the cool part right here. And at least this is what the marketing point is if you look at the heat break here, it's a bimetallic heat break. You can see here we have the copper down here. So you have a larger melt zone than a traditional V6. But on a V6, this part of the heat break that screws in is usually a type of metal that's poor at conducting heat. So instead of your melt zone pretty much just being the nozzle, your melt zone extends up to here. You have the thin surgical steel, so it's very thin walled. Not going to be a lot of heat transfer there. It's going to help with the heat creep. And then the part that would traditionally screw into your heat sink is conical. So they describe that as being, because it's conical, you have more surface area directly contacting the aluminum heat sink, and it's more dissipation at the bottom. So the further up you go, it should cool off quicker because most of that heat is sucking out at the bottom, and it's more surface contact. So with metals, when you have more surface contact, it transfers the heat better. So they advertise it, at least that's what they told me, as being better at fighting heat creep. It's also a costed down version of the Dragon. So there is the price savings there. Now on the downside, and this is probably going to be my biggest critique of this, is while we do have this really thin heat break here for fighting heat creep, it is not rigid. Okay. The heat break isn't hard mounted to the heat sink. Okay. Or the heater block isn't hard mounted to the heat sink like it is on a Mosquito or a Dragon. So what that means is I don't believe you'll be doing one-handed nozzle changes with this because something's going to unscrew. Now, depending on the friction for mounting the conical portion of the heat break into the heat sink, it may not unscrew up here, but it'll probably unscrew from your heater block. So that's why they give you this wrench. And that probably, oh, come on, tolerances. There we go. Yeah, that grips there on the flats, and that'll allow you to tighten it. So actually, let's install that now. And you know what? So I can't remember. This is ABS 1.5 millimeter or Newton meter. Whatever the spec is for these, this is in ABS, whatever recommended torque Slice recommends for their Dragon or for the Mosquito. And yeah, see? So it spins. Yeah. So there's not enough friction in the conical portion to hold it steady, so it'll spin on you. So we got to go like E3D still does, and you're going to have to hold it with a wrench. You go to tighten your nozzle. It's not a huge deal breaker. At least they give you flats to do it on, so you don't risk. Because I've done it with gripping a V6. You have to get a wrench on it, and I've accidentally broken a thermistor wire trying to get a wrench on here because you don't really, that hole's right in the middle. And this one's kind of big, so trying to actually grab it and get purchase on it when you tighten without actually breaking any of these, it could be tricky. This, they give you some nice flats to hold on to, so you don't risk damaging any of the wires. So that's a nice little little design idea. You are going to have to use their sock design, though. This is a custom sock. Okay. So let's put this stuff away. Oh, here, while they're both empty, let me grab my scale. And I will say I'm going to be comparing it to a V6 because that would probably be its biggest competitor. So a V6, what are we looking at? 33.8 grams. And this is going to be heavier, I can tell you that. 45.6. So yeah, it is heavier. 10 grams. 10 grams really isn't a lot. And it's copper. That's why this is an aluminum heater block. This is a copper heated block that's plated. So you're going to get more heat transferring into your filament with this guy, but the downside is it is heavier. But yeah, the heat break is structural. That will probably be my biggest gripe with this is a structural heat break. And with it being so thin, if you do a Z negative China move and dig your nozzle into the bed and then try and do an XY move, you risk damaging or breaking the heat break. It is relatively thin. It's not that long where it's exposed, but it is thin. So yeah. So let's get this mounted in a printer. Now, I said I will be using the groove mount because one, I didn't know that you could hard mount that. I already have it printed. So printed in blue because blue. And for those that watched last week's stream, I ain't using this flex plate. I ain't dealing with that. So it should just fit right in. Groove mount. Yeah. Yeah, so that will fit right in like that. There is enough clearance. So yeah, so it is complete drop-in. If you do have a current printer that uses a V6, it is a drop-in replacement. Let's get some heat set nuts. I'm running really low. I'm running really low on these guys. Where's my iron? So while we wait for that to heat up, how's everyone doing in chat? Any tips for mounting the heated, the switch wire heat bed on spacers and not having them fall over? Patience and a long pair of needle nose pliers so you can go in there and adjust them. That's what I did. I prefer modding my printer to use thermal couples. Yeah, like I still don't have any printers that use a PT100 or whatever. Mine are still using, beta 3950 thermistors or whatever the standard is. Does anyone ever tighten their nozzle first hot due to force of habit? I don't. In terms of tuning or tightening my nozzles hot, the closest I get to that is I'll heat up the nozzle to remove the filament. And then just pull out the nozzle and put in a new nozzle, and whatever temperature it's still at is whatever temperature it's still at. Yes, I don't have a Galileo yet. Okay. Okay, why choose the Dragonfly over the Dragon? Well, I can't really make a point on that yet because I've had this for as long as the stream has been up. So at this point, I can't really give a practical answer. I could say, right now it is cost competitive. So Dragonfly is cheaper than a Dragon. And depending what you want to do, there is no high flow variance of this guy. There's only the standard flow. And I couldn't find any documentation on what they state as their max volumetric output. But I'm going to assume it's like other standard flow nozzles that aren't the V6 or the Mark 8. And that it would be just a little bit above a V6 in terms of output. So right now we're just, this guy just finished printing a little while ago. So we're just putting this together. And right now the tall boy is printing some ABS for those that wondering why I have the noise reduction on. So we are printing V2.4 Z drive assemblies on Tallboy. So that for the Saturday stream, we can start doing the conversion on V226, because right now that still has the old Z drives. We're going to upgrade that to 2.4 Z drives. And actually, I got to turn this on because I got to take the filament out of it. So, yeah, that goes like that. So the direction of that would be just like that. Okay. And we're going to have it come up this side. So for our heater cartridge, nothing fancy. I don't know what brand this is, but it's a 40 watt, 24 volt, probably Triangle Labs or Physek. I can't remember. Same with our thermistor, just a generic beta 3950 that I use on most of my printers. Again, nothing fancy. So that fits in nice there. Now, one thing I'm actually kind of looking at and I'm not too happy with, and I can see why they did it because it's to get this small enough. The heater cartridge is only held in with a set screw. There's no clamp. So that may be an issue when it comes to heat transfer. It depends how tight the ream is on this hole. And we might run into another issue here due to machining tolerances. So order of operation wise, odds are they drilled the holes and then they did this rounded front for after. And when they did that, they kind of burred up the hole a little bit, so your heater cartridge doesn't quite go in perfectly. So, E3D is Grub 2. All my heat, I'm pretty sure I have a legit V6 somewhere, and they're all slotted like this, I believe. So let me just quickly deburr this. Now, again, it also could be this random heater cartridge I have is slightly oversized because tolerances. Yep, and that is copper under there. Yep, so that's tight. Let me try a different cartridge. Do I have any more cartridges? Oh, running low on heater cartridges. A 24 or 50 watt. Yeah. So it's the heater cartridge itself, actually. This is a 50 watt one that I have. That fits in just fine. So it's probably just this heater cartridge itself that's out of spec. 6mm. 5.92. Yeah. So these are meant to be a 6mm hole. And really, the tighter the better, because the tighter the hole is, the more heat contact you'll have. Yeah, the blue. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Andre, I'm just going to use the 50 watt. Screw it. More power. All the power. So that's on the right side. Actually, this one compare. Yeah. So heater on the front, thermistor in the back. Yep. Okay, so it's the same orientation. Use their little Allen key that they gave me just to judge it. Center that as best I can. And tighten the set screw. So let me see here. I just want to confirm to see if they recommend putting anything on the heater cartridge. If they do, I will. But yeah, they don't recommend. They don't say anything about it. So this stuff will go unused. So let me center that better. Yeah, right about there. Good enough. And I may have already stripped it. Well, that ain't coming out now. Hopefully it's just the Allen key. Thermistor cartridge. There we go. Put the sock back on. Get those 80 watt heaters, sneeze, and you're up at peak temp. Oh yeah, I've accidentally used a 12 volt, a 12 volt 30 watt, and a 24 volt system, and that comes out to about 200 something watts if I'm not mistaken. And the funny thing is, it actually lasted long enough to print some stuff before it started not working anymore. We built that. The Taco has some redundancies built into it, apparently. What size screws do I need for this? M316 maybe? Yeah, M316 looks right. That on, right? So far, fit and finish seem pretty well. I'm not under impressed with anything. Chat stopped scrolling, so let me catch you up there. Up, so not constantly. One day I'll get a better camera, or a better overhead camera mount than this cruddy little printed one that keeps falling down on me. Okay, so we have that. Get some zip ties. Actually, I'm going to have to take the hot end off that. No, not V0. Where's switch wire? Switch wire. There we go. So let me heat this up so I can take the hot end off that so I can just make sure my wires are the right length. What do we got? We got PLA in there, right? So let that heat up so I can pull the filament out. Anyone else watching? Well, at least a month, or at least months away, from thinking about building a Voron. See, that's where you got the problem. It shouldn't be. You should be at least months away from thinking about. It should be. You should be watching this while waiting for your stuff that you've ordered to build your Voron to show up. Because you got to remember, you got to get those orders in before Chinese New Year hits. Because that's just going to add another month to your build. And remember what happened last year with Chinese New Year and Rona? Stuff I ordered in like February didn't show up till like the summer. Okay, so a little trick I do for the cable management. I do the first zip tie up, and then I do my crimping and trimming. So this way the wires kind of stay neat, but if you do both up, you don't really have enough room. It kind of really depends on how you have your wire run done. Okay, so let me take the filament out of here. Extrude 20. And then retract 100. There we go. Then I gotta let that cool off for a second before turning it off. E2QNX, a bunch of other stuff. It bugs me. 3D printing channels with billions of subs. I wish I had a billion subs. Still use Allen keys. So, I use tools exactly like this to build multi-million dollar, well, not multi-million, multi-$100,000 to $1 million plastic injection molds. And that's actually super common that people just use these because these work just as well. Plus you could do the fun little thumb trick when you're screwing stuff in. T-handles, I hate T-handles. And you get more torque with these because you can use the long end to actually properly torque screws. Drivers, I get hand cramps after a while. Plus you can't torque them as properly. You have more of a feel. I find, especially with smaller screws when it comes to tightening them, using an Allen key. Plus, again, the thumb trick. Look how fast that is. Can't do that with a screwdriver. I watched it in your video. Not worth getting a high flow hot end if you don't need it due to oozing. Did the Dragon high flow change your view on that? Pretty much. I know you weren't calling me out. I just wanted to make the point. These do have a valid place in your toolbox. These do have a valid place in your toolbox. Back to the high flow. It's living in Tallboy now. That is Tallboy's hot end now. It's printing all the Boron V2 Z drive components, so 4 of them. With a 0.6 nozzle, a 0.3 layer height, it's about a 10-hour print. Andre, ferme ton bouche. Somebody was asking about the shipping time. They sent this to me for testing and evaluation via FedEx. So I don't. As for purchasing a Dragonfly, I think it depends on what country you're in, because you can't. I don't think you can buy them directly from Phaetus. You have to buy it through one of their resellers, or they might have a Banggood or Ali storefront for these guys yet, but they have some resellers. So you'd have to look through shipping channels for that. Okay. Should be cold enough. Yeah, good enough. Okay. So let's pull the hot end out of this guy and put in the Dragon. Well, crimp the Dragon and then, or the Dragonfly, put it in. Oh. For those that have never seen how you change the tool head on an afterburner tool head. This is a Bowden, but it's the same principle. You undo the 2 screws at the front. Fan swings up. You unclip your connectors there. I have the thermistor and the heater in the same. You have 2 more screws behind that. You undo. And it comes out. And then you would take the other one and you would just, oops, that's hot. Put it back in, screw it back in, hook it back up, and you're done. So you can change whole hot end assemblies in like a minute on this printer, and it's gold. So off to crimping. I need these screws. That came up to about there, so that comes up to about there, so I will cut it about here, and hopefully I don't cut it, screw up the crimps. TL Mello and Physek are selling stock B parts. Okay. So you can get these on, you know, the usual places. So far, I'm liking it. I have nothing ill to say of it other than the issue with the heat break being structural, but that only comes into play if you crash. If you don't crash, it's not an issue. And the one-handed nozzle changes, which again, pretty much everything. And for those that watched my video I put out today, where I reviewed the Phaetus High Flow, everything prints good nowadays. Any modern hot end prints good. What you're paying for is output, reliability, and creature comforts. Because again, if I were to show you a dozen benchies printed all on the same machine with different slicer or different hot ends, and I took the time to properly tune every one of them, and I just gave you all the benchies, you would never be able to match up what benchy goes to what hot end. I guarantee it. I hate trimming these. So, a little trick I do is you strip them as best you can, and it's fiberglass and it's annoying as hell. And then you use some snips, and you go in there and you just kind of carefully, not cutting your wires, you cut away any little bit left over of the fiberglass that you missed. I've seen other people solder on new wires, just so they don't have to deal with the fiberglass. But this method works good enough, I find. Does it have to be red parts? Red goes faster. Well, I figured it's a blue hot end, so I put it in blue plastic. This one's gonna be... I hate fiberglass wire sleeving. And it's a thermistor, so you don't want to overdo it. Just bend the wires over and then just give it a haircut. I swear, next time I do a wiring stream, I'm going to have a bottle of scotch there to calm my nerves. Okay, good enough. Jim Sellers, $10. Much love, Nero. Thank you, man. Hope you're enjoying the stream tonight. While I'm finagling with this, once it's in, it'll literally be PID tune and go. Oh, and I will have to change my nozzle offset. Unfortunately, this isn't a V2 or a V1, so I don't have the ability to just swap hot end assemblies and not have to retune my zero. So we're going to have to do that too, but that won't take long. Okay. We have here. Well, see, that you use blue because blue prints cooler, right? So the heatsink works better with blue. If you want to print faster, you use red. If you want to print cooler, you use blue. I have a JST connector stuck in this. And if you hear some random rattling in the background, you shouldn't, because I have the noise canceling on. If you do hear rattling, it's Tall Boy. I don't have the panels fully secured and gasketed yet, so... Oh, I missed one. I missed one. Jim Sellers, $5. Yeah, man. Yes, man. But I was actually going to take the time tonight and go through and set up... I think it's called... Is it Streamlabs? Is that what everyone uses for streaming? So that, you know, when people sub and donate and whatnot, it actually pops up on the screen. You know, like a somewhat professional streamer. But I figured you guys would rather watch a stream of me trying out a new hot end, so we went with that. After you crimp, will I show a close up? Yeah, I could do that. This camera doesn't do close-ups too well, so I'll have to use the other camera. I don't want to jinx it, but this is actually coming out much better than it normally does. Usually I end up having to redo one or two of them. It's all about prep work and taking your time. Don't rush it, because if you rush it, you're going to have to redo it, and then you're going to be behind. Okay, let me catch up, chat. Fiberglass back in the beaded thermistor E3D days. They included crimps on the thermistor. So most of these, a lot of these do. The problem is it's never the right length. That's the problem. It's either too short or too long. Now, if it's too short, it makes it easier if you just want to solder on an extension or just make an extension. But if it's too long, you're cutting it anyways. I remember, because I do have a legit V6. I did buy one. And the thermistor that came with it was too short by like half an inch. So I wasn't going to make an extension for half an inch. So I just ended up using like a TL one or some other random one. Super fast. 19 likes, 85 watching. Yes, that thing that you do. You hit the like button and subscribe if you're not subscribed. I'm at 4,500 subs almost. I might hit it tonight. And I do want to thank you all. Like, I did not expect the channel to grow this big over the past year. So thank you. Jim Sillers, $10. LL. Love you, man. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you. Streamlabs is all kinds of fun, especially to configure. I have OBS set up, but I don't have Streamlabs. So for the crimps, hopefully the autofocus handles it. It's about the best view I think I can get you guys of it. You got that 80s tech noir lighting going on there. I don't think this camera might be a little bit better, but it doesn't focus that close. Like I can't focus any closer than that. The crimps are okay. They're not amazing, but they're good enough. Let's see here. Oh, you could donate through Streamlabs. I have no idea. I've never used it. I gotta set it up. Okay. Oh, missed another one. Josh Murrah, thanks for doing what you do. Thank you for watching the stream, watching me do what I do. Hope you're enjoying it. Okay, apparently hit the like button and subscribe needs my approval before it shows up. Any way to depin those Molex connectors without spending $45 on the tool? Apparently, if you have something fine enough, you can get in there and do it. I've tried with these, but I've seen somebody use like a screwdriver, like a really, really super small screwdriver to do it. So it is possible. Yeah. Regards to the K2 versus V2.4, I don't have a K2, so I can't comment on it. That's about it. Like there's a million different printer designs out there. I will only say what I know about printers I have and what others that I trust have told me. And none of them have a K2. So, yes, these are Molex Microfit 3. So, this is actually so for those that don't know, one of the reasons I built Switchwire is my testing printer. I built it because it's easiest printer to swap stuff out on the fly. It's a more traditional configuration. I can test extruders because it's Bowden. I can test hot ends. And how I have it set up, camera back down, is I have a 4-pin connector on the hot ends. So the two inner are for the heater cartridges. Put those in the right way. Yep. And then the two outer are thermistor. So it's literally one plug and I'm done. Click in. Yep, that clicked. That clicked. So all that needs to be done is install this, do a PID tune, check the nozzle offset, and print. So I am going to steal. And by the way, for those that know about this setup or don't know, lost that guy. I do believe, yeah, you do have to take this little guy out, which it just pops out, because you do have this little Bowden tube you got to put in top. And this is just to meet up with the Bowden tube coming in from the... Okay, that is a really tight fit down that hole. I forgot to see if that's the same height. Let me just double check, make sure it's the same height. Over 8 mil. Dang it, can't get it out. Yeah, whatever. We're going to just assume it's the same. I'm assuming it's all the same. Oh, okay. Chat's going quick tonight. Holy hell. It's great to see someone actually building and working with printers instead of reviewing pre-built stuff. If somebody wants to send me something to pre-built, I will, but I don't have anything. And honestly, it's the same thing with hot end reviews. Okay, I did a hot end review. Don't get me wrong, I like doing reviews. It's something new, change things up. Plus, you can only build printers for so long before building a printer is time consuming and expensive. But it's all about creature comforts and features. Because if you take the time to tune any printer, or at least any competent printer, it'll print good. It just might not print as fast or have the same material capabilities. So, Jim Sellers, $20. Oh, thanks again, man. Okay, Jim, I'm not Homer Simpson or what? No, how does that work? Okay, I'm not the hot dog guy and you're Homer Simpson. You don't need to put my kids through college, but thank you, man. It's fun when you reference quotes from good Simpsons episodes, and those episodes were made, aired before people you work with were even born. Or you quote Simpsons episodes where they came out before people you work with who have kids were born. Jim Sellers, $10. Thanks, man. Okay. So, probably should have recorded that or had the camera aiming at it. But we got our hot end in. Got it. Got to turn that around. Up. The nozzle sticks out past the bottom, which is good. And turn it back on. No sparks. We're good there. Oh, in the meantime, too, I did print a knob. So I actually have a knob on this guy now. Yeah, knob. Oh, yeah, the Benchy from the... Yeah, like, again, all printers print good as long as they're competent. This was the very first... Oh, man. It's white in front of a camera. Quit shaking. This Benchy was printed in PLA on a printer I built out of spare parts using a Thingiverse design called the Bonsai. And this was the very, very, very first print. Again, spare parts. Like, you can... A good printer is a good... Any printer is good as long as you take the time and you know what you're doing. Okay. God damn it, Jim. Okay, stop. Please stop. Thank you. There we go. Domenico Lamberti. Token of my, honestly, man, your token of my appreciation is just watching the stream. Raymond, $5 may as well be Andre. Où est Andre? Où est Andre? Okay. We're online. We're online. We are reading a nozzle temperature. The extruder is reading a little bit warm there, but I've been handling it, so I kind of expect that. Nathan Sawyer, $4.99. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying the stream tonight. By the way, if the audio sounds a little bit off, I have the mic in a different position, trying something new. If it sounds fine, just I'm assuming it sounds fine because somebody's complained about it. Jim is flexing so hard it hurts me in the no place. Jim, stop. Timothy, 5. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Okay, Brian, 2099. No stopping. Choo choo, can't stop the height train. Okay. Break. We gotta print something. Okay, gotta print something. Jim, stop. You guys are loco. Loco. Very cool. $9.99. Thank you for all you do. PID tuning class coming up as a bonus for the stream. Yes. Okay. So if you're the guy that tweeted me about doing a PID tune video, honestly, it would be a 30-second video. It's copy paste. Wait 5 minutes. That is how you do PID tuning. So I'm gonna do a nozzle just to confirm my zero before. $199, $199. Thank you, Jim Sellers 20. Guys, stop! I gotta work on the printer. Buy a bottle of Pappy. All I have right now, and it's sad. I gotta hit up the LCBO tomorrow. I have coconut rum, like the 20%. I think Malibu coconut rum. That's all I got left. Corbach, $20.99. Would love to see you test out a Sherpa Mini on the V0. Can't stop the donate train. Choo choo. You dumb messed up Aaron from Timothy. As for V0, V0 is waiting on components to come in. I gotta swap out the lead screw, and there may be something going on with that. Hype. Okay. Okay, stop donating for like 2 minutes. I'm gonna be looking at the printer. You know what? I'm turning off the monitor. Okay, the monitor is off. I can't see donations right now, so don't bother donating. Thank you, Jim. I know you donated. Don't even need to look, but thank you. Find a piece of paper. I'm gonna level the printer right now. Or not level, set my nozzle offset. Okay. Let me at least make sure my nozzle offset. I can check chat when I'm doing the PID tune, guys. Okay, so I gotta drop it down more. So it sits up a little bit higher than a V6. There we go. Okay. Actually, that's, you know what? That's not bad. 0.1. So it's only 0.1. So that's not bad. Okay, let me turn the monitor back on because there's no point in turning the monitor off because it just moves it to another screen. Jim Sellers, $5. Brian Siebert, Jim doesn't owe me $5. Thank you. Oh God. Okay, everyone please stop. Okay, G-code. I'm probably gonna have the Dragonfly in here for a while, so I'm gonna actually update my actual Z offset. Z offset position minimum. So it's currently 0. Really? It's 0? Oh no, because it's a probe. Yeah, it's a probe. Where's probe? That offset 1. So I gotta go 1.1. Because that'll be a little bit more. There we go. Okay. Firmware restart. Settings. Restart. Okay. Let me home it. And then we'll do a PID tune. You say, okay, so I believe YouTube is 30%. If I'm not mistaken, it's 30% that YouTube takes. Jim, stop. Please stop. The Dragonfly max flow is 61 millimeters a second. or millimeters cubed a second. Like, how would they be outputting more than a high flow dragon? Where did they say that at? I mean, I'm on their Twitter right now. Okay, here we go. I'm going to be sharing somebody else's work here. But somebody took apart the hot end assembly there with the, you can see how it clamps together. And you know what? I'm actually legit impressed because it actually has, you know, prevent any rotation. There, okay, I could see where the cost of this thing is. Because there is actually quite a bit of machining in here because every step here is another setup usually. Now, it's CNC, so you have tool changers and all that fun stuff, proper tool changers. But there is actually quite a bit of machining in this guy here. And you know what? I know people say it's a clone, but I don't think the Copperhead is anything like this. The only thing it has in common with the Copperhead is the bimetallic key brake, which you can get for your V6s now. So, neat. Okay, let me bring chat back up. Okay. V0 belted Z, something other than that. Can we get an Uber a Sparta LDO sponsorship? I would appreciate that, NERQ. I would just like to be able to buy LDO in Canada. Sparta 3D, they're the Canadian distributor for LDO. They do have some stuff in stock. It's starting to trickle in finally. Jan Jamal, $5. Thank you, man. Hope you're approached to join the stream. Kevin Schofield, he's worth it, though. I'm not a Maybelline ad, but I am worth it. Thank you. Jim Sellers again. Connor Walsh, $5. Teach me the micro Molex connectors. I did them earlier in the stream. I did how to crimp them. Well, I just crimped them. I didn't do a full straight on. Jim Sellers 5. Brian Siebert $5. Keep it up. I am. Thank you, man. Where do you get your Molexes? I bought these off AliExpress. There's on AliExpress you can buy them by the size. So I bought like a bunch of 2 pins, a bunch of 3 pins, a bunch of 4 pins. They come with the pins and needles. And I made my own Molex microfit kit. The only downside to the Ali ones I found is the retainer clips are a little fragile. So after a while they tend to just break off. But they work good enough versus the price. Because at the time when I was buying the kit, they were quite expensive here in Canada. Brian B, $5.49. Coffee emoji thingy. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Okay, PID tune. So to do a PID tune, for those that don't know, you can just Google PID tune clipper. It brings you how to do all this other stuff here. But this is the one we're looking for. It's PID tune calibrate heater extruder. So you can just copy paste it into your console. And then, so target is heater extruder. So if it was bed, it would be, I think it's heater underscore bed. Yeah, so heater underscore bed if you're doing your bed. And then whatever your target temperature. So this is PLA, 190, sure. And then make sure your bed isn't touching anything. So what I would do is just kind of move your Z up a bit so that the printer's not touching anything. You are going to want to watch it, especially a very first time PID tune, simply for the fact that if something's going to go wrong on a new build with the heater, usually it's going to happen right now because this is the first time you're powering the heater. And you're going to want to watch it when you send it, and it does it all automatically. If you see your temperature spike up, so all I did was enter that in the console. If you see your temperature spike up through the roof right away, odds are you have a 12 volt heater and a 24 watt system. You should not be hitting ABS temps in under 2 seconds. And if it does, you're in for a bad time. $20 LDO fun. Jim, there's plenty of love to go around. Was I the only one? Yes, Connor. That's why I accidentally typed PID, and apparently that comes up if you just type PID. But it's on Google main images, so I'm sure it's fine. If I have to censor the stream, I will. Are you using? Yes, I'm using the whatever transparent one you linked me. So it's just I had some transparent black PLA left over, so I used that. Have you ever tried to adjust a PID tune manually? No. Oh yeah, a little bit of smoke. So usually on your first PID tune on a hot end, you may, hey, you can see my ceiling. You can see my mess on the floor. I'll move the camera better when we go to print. First time you go to heat up a hot end, usually you will smell a little bit of, not quite burning, but burning smell. Usually that's oils burning off, residues, especially if you're like handling it too. That is normal. If you see smoke and actual fire, that is not normal. Turn off the power. Everything seems to be heating up there. Just keep an eye on it. Normally, once it's PID tuned, if you're adjusting it, you don't really have to sit there. I've PID tuned printers remotely. When it comes to PID tuning, though, you want to tune it for how the printer is going to run. So, depending on your hot end design, I haven't had the issue with these guys with the afterburner and with a silicone sock. But say you have a heater design or a mount where the heater cartridge itself, or not the cartridge, the heater block is exposed to a lot of backwash from the part cooling fan or the heatsink fan, and you have a lot of air movement there, you're going to want to PID tune it with fans running. If you print a lot of ABS, you're going to want to print it at or PID tune at whatever your ABS temperature is. If you print a lot of PLA, your PLA temperature. If you do both, I find PLA or PID tuning in the midpoint is good enough, because as you drift further away from whatever it's tuned at, you start to lose accuracy. But as long as you kind of stay within a margin on either side, plus or minus, it's usually okay. Yeah. $2 paying for a single JST detector giveaway. I hate JST. JST needs to go away. Molex KK for life. PID tuning a mic 6 bed with AC heater. It stabilizes at 10 degrees higher. If it like full on, like, so right now, just watching this, you can see it's jumping up. Now, depends on the output of the heater too. This is a 50-watt cartridge. So what PID tuning is basically so the printer knows how much power to feed for how long to reach the temperature it wants to, because there is lag. You have to remember, it tells it to heat, the heater cartridge heats up, the metal of the heater block absorbs the heat and transfers that into the thermistor, which sends out the temperature signal. So there's a bit of a delay there, okay? So it has to know how long. It's like, imagine turning on the hose and filling up a bucket. Okay, so you got the nozzle, full screen. You have your faucet, you have your nozzle, okay, in your backyard. You have 100 feet of garden hose, and you have your bucket. What PID tuning is knowing when to turn off the tap so that the water doesn't overfill the bucket, okay? Because you want to fill the bucket a certain amount. If you turn off the tap too early, you don't send enough water to the bucket. If you turn it off too late, there's so much water in the stream already, it overfills the bucket. That's what PID tuning is in very layman's terms. So this is, with a 50-watt heater, you're going to see it jump up more than with like a 30-watt, but that's because it has more output. Now, once it knows how to handle that output, it's fine. Tuck tape. Yes, all the tuck tape. Although, honestly, I have this spool. Where did I put it? Of black aluminum electrical tape that I bought for switch wire here. And actually, this stuff's really nice. With most electrical tape, I think because it's not great electrical tape, the paper actually peels off really good on the back. Or not electrical, aluminum tape. Parker Gray, $5. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying the stream tonight. I'm starting a bonsai with my stock Ender 3 parts that I have left over. It's honestly a great build to just use up leftover parts. Okay, so I think we're done there. Yep. So PID tune is done. PID parameters, blah, 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 blah. Save _ config. It reboots and you're done. So yes, so to PID tune with Clipper, it's that command. You let it run for 5 minutes. You make sure your house doesn't burn down and pull an ANET, and then you hit save config and you're done. That's all it is to PID tuning. It's extremely simple. PID tune as your printer runs. John Clark, $100. More tasty beverage fun. Cheers. Tap water in a Contigo. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yes, Jared, for those that don't know, Jared made the logo. Voila. You can kind of see it there. I am going to be making a new intro at some point with the new logo. So Jared on the Voron Discord made the logo. He's in here too. So give him some props. Nobody is inferior because, like, you're all awesome because you're all here right now. Although what is awesome is Prusa Slicer. I've actually got a profile now for Tallboy and Prusa Slicer. And even just eyeballing the settings, it's spitting out better prints than my tuned profile in Cura. So I'm kind of on the Prusa Slicer train now. Choo choo. Although I probably will be switching to Super Slicer just because everyone keeps hyping that up. It's, I thought it was 3 Nero DP. It's Nero 3DP, okay? On Twitter, it's 3DP Nero because that's what Twitter decided it was going to be. I entered 3DP space Nero and it's like, or Nero space 3DP, and Twitter's like, nope, at 3DP Nero, but it is Nero 3DP. The reason it's Nero 3DP and not 3DP Nero is because if you abbreviate it 3DPN, that's Joel. Okay, and Joel, that's his thing. I don't want to encroach. So he's 3D printing nerd. I'm Nero 3DP. I don't want him that close. I'm super not creative when it comes to names. The channel was just originally Nero 1911 when I did gun stuff, and then before that it was the name of my World of Warcraft character because I created that channel to upload World of Warcraft videos in 2006. So my YouTube channel is from 2006. If you go way back, you can watch a video of me doing Ragnaros on my laptop with a 9700 Pro in it at like 12 FPS. So anyways, I like Prusa Slicer now, but this machine has Cura, so we're going to go with Cura. Somebody find me something to print. I expect to see Nero with gold chains, pimp hat, and a game by next week. Yes, yes. The guy who uses where is it? If you follow my Twitter at 3DP Nero, this is how I record videos. I have an old, I think it's a mic stand that I found in the garage, with a piece of dowel jammed into it, so I can adjust it for height based on friction. With a piece of scrap aluminum from V0 with a printed phone mount, so that I can put my phone right there and record. That's how I record the videos, so don't expect a gold chain. I will say, though, I am looking at better cameras. And maybe a lav mic. Now I got wood dust everywhere. No props needed. Oh, man, I forgot. Sorry, the delay on the stream is really bad tonight. I normally I forgot to change it to the minimal lag. So there's like a 20-second delay before I say something, and it shows up in stream. Super Slicer is a fork of Prusa Slicer. I know that. A lot of people have said it's better, so I might be trying that out. Okay. Okay, let me catch up on stream. Okay. So, what are we going to print? What are we going to print tonight, guys? Somebody give me something to print on Thingiverse. Because the site's actually working today. It hasn't actually been that bad lately. Why do I have another Triangle Lab? All the heater cartridges. Okay, so I got one of these left. I got to restock on heater cartridges. I'm running low. Flat bake panels. Well, let's see what's popular. So, tolerance coin. Yeah, actually, let's do, what is that tolerance coin? I've never actually done the tolerance coin. Which one is it? That's Angus made that, right? This guy, right? Tolerance coin. Yeah, let's try this guy. Download all. Super Slicer is maintained by a French foreign owner. Ooh, nice. I did not know that. Downloads tolerance coin. Okay. Although I probably will say, again, this is a very rough profile, okay? So we might have issues with this test because flow is not tuned. Okay, I think that's fed into the hotend. Save to file. Let me just make sure. Okay, so yeah, that seems fine. Save to file. Tolerance coin. Mainsail. Okay, let's heat this guy up to 60. G-code. Upload. Where is it? Documents? Download? Documents? Tolerance coin. France French, not Canada French. Yeah, Canada French is not France French. But it's funny, outside of Quebec, they teach you France French in school. So, mon français n'est pas très bien, juste un petit peu de français, mais je parle français France, pas québécois. And Andre's probably laughing at my horrible butchering of his language of love. Okay, so right now the bed's heating up. Let that heat up for a couple minutes, and then we'll do the coming along pretty good. Now I'll just be ready to baby step it. C'est déjà bien. Deja, I can't remember. Deja vu. You remember well? Maybe? The problem is, like, I went to a French school till grade 6, but then I got pulled out because we moved to where there was no French immersion school, and I promptly lost pretty much everything. So I can read it. It's just I forget what all the words mean for the most part. And apparently I could pull off the accent okay. How much rock do you have on your switchwire bed? The only rock would be actually flexing the metal. It's sturdy. Like, if I push down hard enough, the metal bends before the carriage rocks. Baby stepping in Clipper doesn't seem to be working. Are you running Octoprint, mainsail, or Fluid? Because in Fluid and mainsail, I haven't had issues with it. And Octoprint, I've never actually used it. I found an Octoprint plugin that converts all straight lines into angles. Why would you do that besides smaller G-code? Because the way G-code works for 3D printers, it doesn't accept G-code commands for curves, okay? So when you print anything round, and this is, a lot of people think this is a issue with print quality. If you print, like, especially if you scale up something, you will see that it doesn't actually print curves. It prints series of straight lines, okay? So if you zoom in, I don't think you can, slicers will show it. Yeah. So I don't think it'll show it. Yeah, Slicer doesn't, or Cure doesn't show it. But if you zoom in on a print far enough, and you watch it move, it basically stutters, okay? It can't do curves because most 3D printer slicers don't output and most printer firmware don't understand the G-code command for a curve. So everything, it just does lots of little straight lines to fake curves. As for Octoprint plugins, I don't run an Octoprint, so I wouldn't be able to try it. The only machine that I have that runs Octoprint is Tallboy, and that guy's going to be getting flashed to probably Fluid, I believe, whenever I get around to flipping it over, because the thing weighs like 50 pounds, and I have no desk room. So I'm probably going to do it on the floor, but I have a German Shepherd, so I got to vacuum first. Mainsail and Fluid. I would ask in the Discord then. You might have to update Clipper or something. I'm not 100% sure. I know mine work. I'm not a software guy, unfortunately, so I can't comment too much on like technical issues in that regard. STL files don't support curves either. That is another true one. If you look at an STL and zoom in far enough, it's faceted. It's made out of polygons or whatever it is. Triangles. It's all triangles. all the way down. Okay. Yeah, bed's warm enough. Cheat code files. Tolerance coin. Yes, go. Another reason I have the noise canceling is fan. 3MF. I think 3MF does. I don't know. Who's gonna one up John? Don't need to one up anyone. We're here to watch printers print. And again, if anyone's joined lately, the hot end we have in the printer is the Phaetus Dragonfly BMO. We're giving that a shot. This is the very first print. It's untuned. Sure you don't want to watch that camera shake while I move it. We literally just installed it, tuned it, and we're going to try to do tolerance coin. So, hopefully it comes out okay. If not, I have a feeling it'll print just fine, and any issues that we will see will be mostly simply due to the fact that we haven't tuned the profile fully yet. So I have high hopes for this hot end. I think it will function just fine. So there we go. What is the advantage of the Galileo extruder over Afterburner? It has higher gearing, so you technically have a little bit more, you have more accuracy in extrusion. I think it's lighter and more, I don't know if it's more compact, but it is lighter too, I believe. If you want to try fluid, just grab the mainsail install you already have running and use Kiao and put fluid on. Super easy. I've never used Kiao before. What I did when I was testing, I literally just had to set an extra SD card because you can copy your config file between all of them because it's the same config. So all I did was just pull that SD card out, flashed an SD card with mainsail or fluid, put it in, copied over the config, and up it went. Fancy camera stand. Did you get it off AliExpress? Right now the camera stand is the box for the Ryzen 3 that your donations help pay for. Actually, your donations paid for the whole rig. So I thank you for that, and it also paid for the camera, which I'm already looking to upgrade because this camera isn't bad. I just find it's not super crisp beyond a certain distance because it is just a camcorder. I've been looking at some of the mirrorlesses. I've been watching videos on what people recommend for streaming cameras. The problem is they're all mostly based with the... Okay, so we do have some plastic coming out. You watch a video of some guy on YouTube like, oh, these are the best video cameras for streaming. So it's like, sweet. And you click on all the links to them. He's like, oh, you can buy this one used on OfferUp or whatever, American, Craigslist or whatever. And I'm like, awesome, $150. And then you look on the Canadian equivalent and it's some guy trying to sell it for $20 under new price, and it's dinged up and he's like, no bargains, I know what I got. So yeah, Canadian used market for electronics sucks. Plus it's like 3 hours between every city, so if you don't have anything in your city, you're pretty much screwed because it's like a 4-hour drive anywhere else. Panasonic G7. I think what I was looking for, and for the next probably 45 minutes, this is just going to be open floor chat because it's printing and I can't really do anything while it's printing. I think that was one of the ones I was looking at. The main one, I think I was looking for a Sony A5100. I think that's what everyone recommends. Prices aren't horrible on them. I'm honestly just waiting to see what Black Friday and whatnot. Well, we don't have Black Friday in Canada. It's like all month long, and it's not the same as Black Friday in the US. We have Boxing Day in Canada. So I'm just waiting to see what the sales are. If I use GH4, the problem is the camera has to have clean HDMI out, and not all cameras have clean HDMI out. If it doesn't have, like this camera has clean HDMI out, okay? So right now, I could go into the settings zone. If I turned it off, you would see like ISO value and like all the values that you would see on the screen below. Not all cameras have clean HDMI out. Free healthcare. Well, I pay for it with my taxes, but it's cheaper than other methods. Please don't get into politics. No politics on the stream. Glass is a bit more expensive for Sony cameras. Yeah. Honestly, everything's pretty good right now in terms of equipment. Like, I got the camera, I got the mic, I got the computer. Everything's pretty good. The only, like, I would like maybe a lav mic. Maybe that would be the next upgrade. But, I think this mic, the quality isn't too bad. The only downside with this mic is I have to crank the gain so you can hear me when I'm talking and moving around. But it's a condenser mic. That all mics are like that. You can't pick up a whole room with them. They're not meant for that. And then wireless lav mics, you can buy them for like $50, but they're garbage, and then the good ones get really expensive. So let me see here. Is Bonsai a V0? No, Bonsai is, and I have them over here. So, back to camera one. This is a V0, okay? It's a Voron design V0. It's a Core XY, 120 millimeters cubed, 1515 extrusions, NEMA 14 motors. This is a V0. This is Bonsai. Bonsai is all the scrap parts that I had laying around and like $40 in stuff I had to buy. So this is a little mini i3. And this guy was built, one, to use up some of these spare parts that I had, and two, for my intro to ABS series of videos. Because everyone wants to know how to print ABS, and showing them on a Voron is cheating. So I built this guy. And it might be cheating because it prints better than I thought it would. Okay, back to this. So it's extruding plastic. So the hot end works. So now it'll be a judge of how well the hot end works. Jim Sellers, $5. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Looks like the plate is getting pressed in. No. Nope. It might just be the plate can't get pressed in because it's sitting right on the PCB bed, and it's hard mounted. There is no flex in the bed because the bed on my switch wire is hard mounted. Can V2.4 print nylon? Okay, fully enclosed. I have print nylon. I would like to get some more higher temp materials. Unfortunately, like all things up here, stuff is expensive in Canada for a lot of the random stuff. So I would love to get some of the, like the nylons, polycarbonates, other fancier plastics just to try out. Problem is I would be dropping like $60 on a spool. So it's kind of like, I'd rather put the money elsewhere for now. But there is something potentially in the works, so we'll see. Jim Sellers, $20. Thank you, man. Okay, Jim, you're not allowed to donate unless every gear on this thing moves when we're done. Okay? So until this print is done, you are done. Okay? If every gear on this thing moves freely when we're done, you can continue. But until then, deal? But yes, you do rock. So I'm actually going to be checking the manual here. But I do want to see if there's any English in here. Because that's usually a common thing. It's expensive and can't have fun. Programmer X, great videos. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying the stream tonight. Hope Ottawa is treating you well because I know who you are. Insert the Bowden collet into the top of the adapter. Stick the collet clip in. Nope, that's good. Fix the adapter into the heat sink. So, Phaetus, if you're watching, one thing I would say to include, you have a wrench. I would like a wrench for tightening the actual groove mount because it's a really small, you can't get a normal wrench in there. You need an actual thin wrench to get in there. So that would be one thing. So, wrench. They need to include a wrench for that. Assemble the heat sink rib through the spread up. Make sure the heat's yep. So the instructions on this thing are like English. They're proper English, and these are full instructions on how to assemble this thing if you take it apart. Screw the heat block in. Okay, so you assemble it that way. That's nice. Yeah, those are M1.4 screws. So yeah, I'm not taking it apart till after I do a bunch of prints on it. Seriously, no way my V2.4 would exist if it weren't for your stream. That's why I do the streams. because I know how hard it is to, some people need to watch something. Some people just get bored and they have nothing else to do when they watch my stuff. Hey, whatever works. But I did these videos because I know it helps people. A lot of people learn easier just by seeing somebody do it. Not everyone can read a manual, and even those that do like reading a manual, it's, you know, I find it easier just to watch a video. You process the data quicker, in my opinion. So I did these videos because I know it helps people. Because if everyone prints better, people don't have to help others print as much because people just know more, and everyone knowing more is better. You should try KVB. I would love to try KVP. Unfortunately, they only ship in the US. And Rona prevented me from going to Midwest Rep Fest and grabbing stuff when I was there because I can't cross the border. I would love to try KVP. A new addiction. Call it unobtainium in Canada. Yeah. So I pretty much am exclusively ESA and ABS Plus for the most part, plus whatever else anyone has on sale. Jim Mr. Beast sellers. I understood that reference. Yeah, my next video, can I live 24 hours in a room with 5 printers printing ABS? There's the next Mr. Beast video. So Hot Titan. Yeah, you know what? The instructions on this are pretty well. There isn't much to them, but they are in depth enough that if you had to build this thing, you probably could. Product advantage. Oh, here we go. The product advantage. Hotend's core parts are mainly composed of copper alloy, which has the advantage of better heat conduction. Overall high temperature resistance up to 500 C. So it is an all metal hot end, which we knew that. So it is all metal. So you'll be able to print any, you know, any plastic on here for the most part. So I think we do have a little bit of over extrusion on that top layer, but flow hasn't been calibrated. That would be another thing you would do with the new hot end. You would calibrate flow before going into actual any dimensional accurate print. Mitchell Davies, $5. Thank you, man. Great videos helping me with my 2.4 build. Awesome. Again, there's the full stream of building a 2.4 other than assembling the frame. So if you do run into any issues, just refer back to there. And I do have some additional standalone videos on some of the components. Low roughness of heat break. That's good. So again, it's surgical steel the whole way through, but that's also the same on the Slice Mosquito and the standard Dragon. The surgical steel it's an extruded tube, so it's consistent diameter the whole way through. So you shouldn't have to worry about, like, the heat break on the V6, for example, is machined. So if there's machining issues, which you see a lot on the cheaper quality ones, you have filaments sticking to it, which can lead to heat creep, jamming, yada, yada, yada. So with it being a surgical steel tube, that is smooth. High printing precision, no filament plugging. So again, they do say, because of the way the heat break's designed, it should no heat creep issues. The problem is I've never had heat creep issues in standard V6s, for example. So Jim Sellers, $5. Thank you, man. Gotta stop. It's printing pretty good. Let me see if I can get a better angle here. I need something. Here we go. We'll put the there we go. Why not Patreon or Tippy? Tip chat cut is gross. I have a what is it called? A coffee thing? Buy me a coffee. Here, I'll link it. So I don't have Patreon. Okay, I really don't want to set up any sort of recurring payment because I'm doing this for fun. Although this is panning out a lot better than I thought it would, and I do thank you all for that. I didn't intend to get into it this in depth. It was supposed to be just a couple builds here and there, and that was it. But you know what? I'm actually having a lot of fun doing this. I am enjoying this a lot, and people are enjoying it, so I'm going to keep doing it. But I don't want to set up anything, at least at this point. Maybe down the line, if it keeps growing, maybe. But I don't want to set up anything that requires a fixed amount for fixed content. I do like having the freedom that if something comes up and I'm off for a month and I'm not making videos, it doesn't, you know, I don't want people paying for nothing, and I don't want to force people to pay a certain amount. Like, I was tempted to turn on memberships for the YouTube channel simply for the, you know, 20 minutes after when I finish the stream and I'm cleaning up, but it has to have a fixed amount. I can't just have it an unfixed amount. So I really don't like that. but we'll see. Jim Sellers, I would love a shout out. Tweet it or tell your friends using the link. You can't link anything, unfortunately. I'm the only one who can link stuff. I don't know why. Oh, you're telling other people to shout out me. Yes, shout out me, sure. Share it on Twitter. Let me check. Apparently you guys all like the video because I have like a million alerts. I can hear my phone. Well, I can feel my phone going off. I got into 3D printers and thought I'd do. No, I meant on stream. Like when okay, so I started the YouTube channel. I started doing videos because it's easier to show certain things on a video than just typing it in Discord chat. So I started doing videos. Well, then the problem with the video is I have to think of the video, I have to prep for the video, I have to record the video, edit the video. I'm still not at the point where I'm scripting stuff. When that happens, that'll be fun. But then with a stream like this, I can just turn it on and we can just talk and do everything all at once. So I started streaming, and then that led to more videos because of YouTube algorithm and yada yada yada. And Jim Sellers keep giving me $5. Please stop. People can always limit their monthly amount. I might set it up. You know what? Honestly, we'll see how the new year goes. See how the rest of the year closes out. Maybe I'll set one up. But yeah. But I do have the Buy Me a Coffee. I do have the, there is, I think if you go below, I have a link to one of the dragons or something on Banggood. So if you buy anything on Banggood through that link, I get a kickback for that. I do have, it's in the works right now, but I will have a Matter Hackers affiliate link potentially in the future. I'm waiting on some stuff to work out there. So. And if you subscribe to my OnlyFans, you can see pictures of bare benchies printed with no outer walls. NerdQ, have donations been like this recently? No, Jim Sellers is just crazy. Stop it. No, it's a stop donating. Do Switchwire run in Stealth Chop or Spread Cycle? I believe it is. Let me check. I'm pretty sure it's Spread Cycle. Normally, I run Microsoft Interpolate 2, Stealth Chop Threshold 0. So I think if it's 0, that means it's in Spread Cycle mode. Yeah. I tend to run all my printers in Spread Cycle mode simply for the more torque. And the ability to push more current to the motors. My printers run in this room in my basement. I'm really only in here when I'm working on the printers. I work in a tool shop, so my hearing's already gone. So I really don't care about loud motors and loud fans to an extent. If I can hear it in another room, it's an issue. But I'd rather have my printer just be a little bit louder and not skip steps potentially every now and then versus stealth chop mode, where yes, it does run quieter. However, honestly, my fans are the loudest part on the printers, even with Spread Cycle engaged. So, Programmer X, $5. This isn't a programmer, it's Jim Sellers. His name was Jim Sellers. Here, the stepper on the right. I can see the belt. Oh, yes, yes. I forgot about the fix that. The belt is twisting because the 22th gear is slightly not lined up perfectly. I know about that issue. Somebody brought it up last stream. I just forgot to fix it. Eric Atkins, Jim Sellers, hacked my account. Let's just watch the thing print. Not printer related. What do you think of the new Radeon card reviews? I like them. The problem is, for example, it really depends what you're going to be using your machine for. If you can get one for a good price versus the NVIDIA equivalent, and all you do is game, they seem like they will be a solid option, okay? The only downside with them, they don't have DLSS, which if you're playing at 4K is an issue. I myself, I run a 165 hertz 1080p monitor. It's a 24-inch. It's this far in front of my face. I'm fine at 1080p. I like my high refresh rate. But the big thing is for anyone who does any streaming, it doesn't have an NVENC, or NVIDIA's NVENC encoder, which is what I'm using now, is amazing. It doesn't have the audio add-on or whatever it calls that automatically kills background noise. So it doesn't, and the driver issues and whatnot. Now, my main machine is a 5700 XT in it. And I've had no issues with it. I got it for a good price used. And for the most part, it beats a 2070 for the most part. So if you're just going to game, if you can get one for a good price, the problem is you can't find any of them right now. Plus they're expensive. I remember buying an 8800 GT back in the day. So I could play the original Modern Warfare better than what I was currently playing it with. And I paid $300. So that was a top tier card. I missed $300 top tier video cards. Like a 3070 is like $1,000 up here in Canada. Jim Sellers, $10. Yes, I know. Thank you, Jim. He's the belle of the ball. Yes. There, I'll put my mask on. I use my everyday. Yeah, see, and that's the thing. In the professional field, you'll probably get more out of a NVIDIA card. If all you're gonna do is play, Cyberpunk, and you don't care about ray tracing because the new NVIDIA or new Radeon cards don't do ray tracing that good, unfortunately. But honestly, I prefer high frame rate, so I probably wouldn't be using ray tracing anyways. NVENC is Bay. Yeah, the 1660, I know a lot of people, I think it's a 1650 Super is actually the cheapest card you can get with the new NVENC 2. Right now, I have a 1060 in here, so it has the last gen NVENC, but it's handling it fine. The big issue is I'm not gaming, and I'm only outputting at 30 FPS, so it's not really that big of an issue. And honestly, I could probably switch over to CPU encoding now that I got the 3100 and not a 12-year-old Xeon, but I haven't had any issues with the NVENC, so I'm just going to keep using it, so. You guys see the 3090 Porch Pirate video? Yes, I seen that. So Buddy had a box for like a Swiffer, some kids' toys, and a big Newegg box with the 3090 in it, and Buddy didn't take that one. But if you're the type of person that's stealing people's deliveries off their front porch, you probably don't know what a Newegg is, what a Newegg box means. Probably just thought it was groceries. Still spec client machines, Intel, NVIDIA. You know what? I'm all on the AMD hype train for CPUs. For video cards, it's honestly what you can get a good deal on, in my opinion. I always buy the upper mid tier for graphics cards, usually, and then just buy them more often. Because if I were to drop, $800 on what a 980, well, I just spent $300 on a 1060, and then I went from a 1060 to a 5700 XT. For less price than I would have paid than if I spent the money on a comparable video card at the time of when I bought the 1060. So, Nira's getting 17 Bitcoin. Come on, it's all about Dogecoin. Ryzen 9 is good to play WoW Classic. Back in my day, I had an Athlon 3400 claw hammer, an ATI Radeon 9700 Pro, 512 megabytes of RAM, and I got 12 FPS in Molten Core, and we liked it that way. Now I'm just waiting on Cyberpunk. The only thing my computer runs is, slicing software and YouTube most of the time. $5,900X. Yeah, see, my main machine has a 3700X right now, and it does have a B450 board. It's MSI, so the BIOS will be supported if I do decide to go to 5 series at some point. But honestly, I don't have anything right now that would I'm stressing it. Like, if I were to upgrade, I probably wouldn't see any difference. I can only run, most of my games at max FPS anyways. Ray tracing support in Among Us. I haven't played that game yet. Been in this long enough that I can mine Bitcoin in a single core. Oh man, remember when somebody bought like a pizza for like 18,000 Bitcoin? Picking up an Athlon 64X2. Yep, that was the computer I had was a laptop. That was my first like personal computer, and then I went after that. I built a what was it? It was a Athlon 64X2 3800 with a NVIDIA 760 GT that I later upgraded to an 8800 GT, that I later upgraded to a 5770, and then after that I rebuilt it with an i5 2500K, and then I upgraded the video card to a 7870 ATI, and then I upgraded that to a 1060, and then I rebuilt that into a new machine, which I have now, which is a 3700X, and then with a 5700 XT I got at the beginning of the summer. I see no more live streams when Cyberpunk comes out. See, at that point, I just transitioned to be a gaming YouTuber, streamer type person. 110, yes, we have 110 people watching me chat about video games while apparently we're trying to do a computer or printer. What are we doing here again? Oh yeah, we're printing stuff. We're melting plastic. Must be all them fumes. A pair of 50. See, I only had the 15770, and I bought it used. So over an 8800 GT, that was a decent upgrade. Actually, I still have the 8800 GT somewhere. Had a gaming PC since 2009. I was really into computer gaming, and then I moved to consoles for a bit, and then I went back to computer gaming. So, but of course, I have a kid now, so. Do you still play EVE? No, I haven't played EVE Online since probably about 2012 because I quit playing it. All my stuff was in a player-owned station in low sec or zero sec space. I was part of an alliance, and then I quit for a year, and then everything went bye-bye because if I were to go back, it'd be in, I don't even know what all my stuff would be because I'm pretty sure the station got blown up or taken over by another alliance, or I don't know. So going back in would be a pain. Everyone please just do $1 per every dollar I give you. Jim, you're insane, Jim. You are insane. 1080 is getting long in the tooth. Well, I had a 1060 up till, the beginning of the summer, and that was fine. I upgraded to the 5700 XT because one, it was a good deal, but had just bought it and then was selling it. So I couldn't say no to the price. But I bought it in anticipation of Cyberpunk because I figured Cyberpunk would come out before the 3 series cards came out. And then it got delayed a million times. And even then, I wanted to get a 3060. And that ain't coming out till who knows when. And it would probably never be able to get it anyways. So I'm happy with it. Okay, how's this print coming along? Let me try and get a slightly closer up shot. Like, it's printing. I know the zoom isn't, or the focus ain't the greatest, but it is printing. It is red plastic on a sheet of PEI. As long as you're not paying 4K 1080. Honestly, when I was looking for the 5700, I was actually looking to buy like a 1080 Ti. The problem is, again, reseller market in Canada is horrible. I bought my 5700 XT for cheaper than what people are trying to hawk 1080 Ti's for up here in Canada, in my area. So, yeah. The used market in Canada sucks. How about a Switch IO profile setup stream using Super Slicer? I might do that. The next couple streams are probably going to be doing stuff with V226. I got to get that guy switched over to 2.4 Z drive and put Clipper on it, which, considering it has Duet, we are going to be setting up a full profile for Clipper from scratch completely, because at the moment there is no Clipper profile for a Voron running Duet with the expansion port I have, because I'm pretty sure only me and Andre ran that board and he stopped using it, and I'm pretty sure he's still on RepRap firmware. So that will be a fun stream, because unfortunately that stream is going to be a lot of staring at my computer monitor as I copy and paste configurations. So let's see how the print's coming. Oh wow, that bed. Oh well, gantry's racked. That's how you know the gantry's racked, but it handles it no problem. So what do we got? We got 0.58 there. So it looks worse than it is. The gantry is out about, what, about a millimeter? But the advantage, and this is why, Core XZ is awesome, you can have a crazy out bed and it has no problem compensating for it because both motors are constantly running. So when you run your bed mesh, it's the same as printing a diagonal line on a Core XY. It just does it. It has no issue doing that. So your bed could be way out to lunch, and you can even do like non-planar printing on here because your Z speed is the same as your X speed. So you have no problems doing a bed mesh on a bed that's way out to lunch, and it's quiet because it sounds like every other move. So you don't have that constant, grr winding noise that you hear when you're running when your Z motors are doing a bed mesh on a traditional printer. See, the drag chain doesn't sit flat either. Yeah, it's a Chinese drag chain. It's not IGUS, so. Is Mobius 4 a good fit for the V0 or the stock extruder? Depends. The stock extruder is designed to go with it because it fits within the envelope and uses Bondtech. It's basically the stock extruder is Clockwork or Pocket Watch, which is a downscaled Clockwork, which is the extruder in the afterburner. And it's essentially rehoused Bondtech BMG. Okay. It's just rehoused in a different form factor to suit our needs. On the Pocket Watch, it's also shrunk down to fit a NEMA 14. So if you want to use a NEMA 17 and use an M4 extruder, which I have right here, you can use this extruder, no problem. You can use any extruder on the V0. I believe it doesn't fit though behind the back panel. If you try to put a back panel, it's just too thick. But if you're fine having it just sitting on the side of the frame or sticking out of the back, there's no problem there. It technically has slightly better accuracy because it's 4-to-1 gearing. That's 3-to-1. But honestly, for the 99% of people, you'll never notice the difference. Jim Sellers, $5. Whoops. Yes, whoops. I told you. You can't do anything until the print's done. What do you have for Z motor? How do you have the Z motors on separate steppers? It's Core XZ. That's how. So switchwire spec is E3 Mini. I'm running an SKR 1.3 simply for the fact that I have two extruders on this because it does have a Y splitter, so I can do dual extrusion on this guy. Jim, you're insane. So that's why. Although honestly, you could use any of the Vorons. You can use pretty much any controller. Like with Clipper, you can strap a ramps to a Duet if you really want to. So you can kind of use what you have on hand. And it's got an E3 Turbo. It's got UART Control 2209s, 2 PDO. Yes, the E3 Turbo, I saw that. If that had come out when I was building that, this would have an E3 Turbo on it. Because it basically has all the fun stuff that you pretty much need in one package. And I do like having the drivers directly on the PCB because it provides better cooling. Plus, it also has the advantage over the E3 Mini. It has two hot ends. So that also means you can actually run 3 CNC fans because it has two hot end outputs, and you could repurpose one of them for a fan. So you could have 3 fans. Yeah, unfortunately, let me see if they are on E3 Turbo. Oh yeah, they are on Amazon Canada. There we go. Only $80. Free shipping though. Yeah. So yeah, so you have 2 heater outputs there, so you can reuse one of those as a fan. So you can actually have 3 controlled fans on this guy, and then one fan that just probably constantly on, I'm assuming. What I would love to see though, it can only output 2.5 amps. I would love for them to have a controller board that one had 6 steppers at least, but 2 had the ability to output 5 volts at 3 amps, so you can power a Raspberry Pi off one of these controller boards. Because for those that have been watching my other streams, on my V1 and on the Bonsai, I have a Raspberry Pi Zero, and that is being powered directly off of the SKR through a 5 volt. because it's small enough, or it uses so little power that it can do that, but you can't power a full Raspberry Pi. So I would love these boards, these beefier boards, to have the ability to output 5-volt 3 amp to power a Pi, because then you avoid needing a buck converter or a separate power supply. It's just like, well, it's more like the original Voron V1 gantry, like the V1.5 gantry flip vertical, but basically, yeah, it's a Core XY gantry, flip vertical, and the bed moves underneath it. One of my sound phone blocks fell down. Yeah, there's the tape. I'm Jen Sellers, no hero. Honestly, the world is lacking sharing and love. This is the way. I will finish my Mando helmet one day. Fully printed. I just need to actually, like, do the handwork on it and paint it. What do you like most about the Switchwire so far? Well, this is, well, up until Bonsai, this was the only bed flinger style printer that I had. It was a fun build. It's a super simple printer, and it's reliable as heck. Like, there's really not much to the Switchwire in terms of mechanicals. It's robust. It runs really quiet. It's got a good price point for it. Like, you can build a Switchwire cheaper than you can buy a Prusa Mark III kit. Okay? So, either way, you're building the printer. This one's cheaper and faster. As for print quality, again, all printers print good as long as you take the time to tune them properly, and your belts aren't, you know, old engine fan belts. And your lead screws and rails and whatnot are actually good. There we go. Jim, $5. This is the way. Yes, this is the way. You can't do it cheaper than a V0. It will come in cheaper than a Prusa Mark III kit, but the V0 is about $400 to $600, depending on your sourcing, where you live in the world, before shipping. So, watching that, I know that belt. I gotta fix that. I keep forgetting to fix it. Okay, the song I was listening to had clicking in it. It was driving me annoying. I didn't know if it was a printer noise or what. No, questions are fine. I do these streams for educational purposes. The belt does it on one side because the 22 drive gear is slightly out of position. It's rubbing. So the alignment is slightly out. So when it moves in one direction, it hits the lip of the gear, and it kind of just rubs. But when it goes the other gear, it's fine. Or it goes the other direction. So I just got to shift the 22. But it's printing right now, so I can't do it. Or it might be a bad gear. I'll take it apart and fix it later. It doesn't seem to affect print quality, so it's more of a... It's giving you something to look at. Here. There. Now you can't complain about it anymore. Actually, I can't even put that there. There we go. We're advertising the Phaetus. There we go. The cost of 3D printers. One only swipes the card. Buy now. There's a reason I'm an AliExpress Diamond member, and it's mostly the stuff in this room. Shady V0 kit. Who is that? Just print then idler. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just the 22th is not in the correct position. It's slightly on the other side, so I can't really get a good view on it. But I'm assuming I think I just have to shift it over. Like it's just slightly out of position on the rod. Maybe I'll fix that later if I remember. Jim Sellers 10. I don't know. Jim, you're donating too much. I don't even know if each one of these is new. Do you have a vid on belt tune suggestions? Okay, I won't do a video on belt tuning because my way of belt tuning is literally this feels good. They feel about the same, and the print quality is good. You don't want it too tight. If you tighten it too much, you will have issues. A lot of time when you see tooth marks in your print, like every 2 millimeters or whatever the belt spacing is, that's usually a sign of printing with your belts way too tight. If you have them too loose, you get layer skips and your corners aren't as clean. So there is slightly a there's a middle ground, and I just kind of eyeball it. I don't tune my belts to any math reason. I literally just kind of push both of them at the same time at the same spot, and okay, they move about the same and they're good. Spacers fun. Spacers. Dang spacers. Is this a sideways Core XY? It's a Core XZ printer auto drop. So my previous, I think it was previous stream, I did it fully on this printer, but it's Core XZ. So it's essentially a Core XY gantry, vertical, and then your bed moves underneath. And then to solve the gantry problem of it falling down on power off, there's a counterweight in the form of a key back in the back. You can see the string for it right here. And this string right here basically is attached to a key back, which is a spring-loaded key retainer with 13 ounces of force that is pulling the gantry up at all times, so it counteracts the weight of the gantry falling. So long story short, your Z can move as fast as your X, which is about 300 millimeters a second. So if you want to do 300 millimeters a second on the Z for Z hops, yeah, no problem. Also, it's cheaper because you don't need to worry about lead screws. You don't have lead screw wobbles. This is literally the cheapest way you can make a gantry move in the XY direction for the most part, bearing extremely super cheap and sketchy AliExpress parts. So let's see here. Good old shaky cam. Yeah, you can't see it. You can kind of see it there. Okay, now it's moving over there. I'm watching the camera and it's reversed. I don't know. It's printing fine. I had a feeling it would print fine. And yeah. What I would love, and unfortunately I just don't have the equipment to it. I would love to have a thermal camera just to see how much heat is actually transferring into the heat sink versus a I don't know where to put it, or versus like a V6, for example. Because I think this would has better I think this works a lot better than a V6 style, and I would see this so far just from initial impressions. This would be a direct upgrade over a V6 because basically everything a V6 does, this does improve upon. Now, does it go far enough to replace a dragon? That would be hard to say, or a sliced mosquito. But according to my crappy thermal thingy here, my heater. Okay, if the infrared laser pointy thingy is accurate, it gets about 38, 36 degrees on the heatsink. I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that's bad. Can't remember. Do you have V1.x you can show? I don't have a V1. My V1 was rebuilt into a V2. At this point, the only one I don't have is a V1. Downsides, it's a lot of belt, but belt is cheap. Has a lower MGM rail. No, it only has one MGM 12 on the carriage. There's no bottom one. Because it's MGM 12, it's stiffer. We only need one. Use case for fast C would be pretty limited. It really depends on how you print. For example, I run Z-Hop, okay? Think of it with a CNC machine. When you have a CNC machine, it's got an end mill and it's cutting steel. When it moves from one location to another, it doesn't drag the nozzle or the cutter across the steel. Same thing with a printer. I run with Z-Hop enabled, and you can see it running now, although only at 40 millimeters a second, because for whatever reason, Kira wouldn't let me turn it up. But when you move your nozzle across the print, that's hot metal on the plastic, and it can cause issues with the print. It can cause buildup on the nozzle. If you're printing anything where the print likes to curl up on the edges, when you run your nozzle through that, it deforms the plastic. It could also risk knocking the plastic off the bed, or if it's stiff enough, causing a layer skip by stalling out the hot end if your motors aren't beefy enough. So what Z-Hop does is basically just moves your nozzle up when you do a travel move so it doesn't drag on your print. I run Z-Hop continuously on every printer. So when you're printing something, and here it is, and this is why you run Z-Hop. The Eiffel Tower, 350 millimeters tall, or actually 330, I don't know, whatever its default size for this Eiffel Tower is. Every one of these itty bitty little points, if you didn't have Z-Hop enabled, would be an Uzi stringing mess and probably knocked over. This thing has like 1 million Z-Hops in it, okay? Somebody actually went through their G code and counted it, and there's like almost 1 million or just over 1 million Z-Hops in here. Now, when you have to hop up 0.5 millimeter and then hop down 0.5 millimeter, if you could do that 10 times, 20 times quicker than most printers, that adds up to a lot of time savings over time. So, this was on Tallboy, by the way. Plus, it would allow you to do, if slicers get fancy and allow planar printing, you could do planar printing no problem with a setup such as this. Because it's your Z moves like an X or a Y. So you would be able to do non-planar printing where you're laying down layers not on an even Z, where you're kind of like doing curves in air essentially. This would have no problem doing that. You would have to probably tweak the hot end design a bit just so that the nozzle clearances and whatnot, but mechanically it would be able to do it just fine. So yeah. The only issues I'm seeing so far, and then just visually, is we do have some slight over extrusion. But it's okay if you slightly over extrude. You should print a giant. I have a giant T-Rex over there. I got a Christmas tree. Fleer on Canadian Tire for $3.49. Ooh, I was that crappy tire today. Problem is, I'm not going to buy a $400 with tax infrared camera just to do like 2 videos. Unfortunately. Samson T, hi, just managed to catch the stream. Welcome. So far we have put the Dragon BMO in the printer, and it is printing a coin tolerance test, I guess it's called. And Jim Sellers is insane. Regarding heat set brass inserts for the afterburner, I saw one manual specify 2 different sizes. Then Get the smaller size. Originally, the beta version used 2 different sizes, and it was redesigned so that it only needed 1 size. Fun fact, the gantry on V226 here is beta. So it actually has the older, fatter style of the afterburner. That also was a bigger pain in the butt put together than the current revision, which is much simpler. So, yeah. This guy is literally, if you looked at what a V2.4 gantry looked like about a month before it went live, that's what this gantry is. Belt pathing is a bit different too. I'm just trying to get my parts to print in PLA without warping, and y'all sound with humongous spindly Eiffel Towers. Well, that's PLA too. Like, if you want, you know, if you want me to flex, let me find the dragon. Don't lose that. Okay, apparently Alduin is now structural for this case. I need weights. That works. Stay. Okay. Okay, here we go again with the flexing. This Alduin model, which is broken because I have a 2-year-old son and he got a hold of it and broke the tail off and the wings off. Originally this had a 3-foot wingspan. Okay. All those nice little fine details and very pointy horns and whatnot. Multiple printed pieces. This is printed in ABS. This is full ABS, and not ABS Plus, not cheating eSun ABS Plus. This is Sunlu Jamtastic bulk standard ABS. So, how's the Iron Man? Oh, sitting in a pile of pieces. I still got to sand it and prep it for paint. I'm still waiting on components to come in to build it anyways. Is Phaetus just a clone of Triangle Lab or the other way around? So I haven't been able to get a full word, but from what I can tell, Phaetus is either the OEM original or they get first pick from the original manufacturer for the hot end. Yeah. You want a full tour of the Z pulley system? Sure, I can do that. Put the dragon away. Shitty ABS dragging incoming. Yes. This is hard mode 3D printing Sunlu. Oh, yeah, that stuff was horrible. I mean, Andre knows about the Sunlu ABS. I still have like 2 or 3 spools of it that will never be used because about 2 or 3 times a spool, the plastic was legit contaminated. There was something in the plastic that would completely jam up a nozzle. And I've never had that issue before. I do have a Mando helm too, but that just also needs paint and prep. Okay, so I don't have... let's see here if I can get close enough. So, crappy camera angle, I'm sorry guys. But, we have a key back here, and that is basically a key retainer. And then it comes up, you see the extruder there, over the bearing, and then it comes back down and attaches to the gantry. And I pulled wires off the thing. Yeah, I'm sorry for shaky cam. I couldn't really get a good angle there. But that's basically how it works. At last week's stream, I went over it as well. So if you take a look at last week's stream at some point, near the beginning, I think, I go over the mechanicals of it. I suspect Phaetus designed them and get first pick. That's what I think. You got to remember, I think Triangle Labs sold them first on AliExpress, so the name got out there quicker than Phaetus. Are you one of Nero's Confederates tempting us to donate by using his own credit card to make his donation? No, because I think he's given more than anyone else because he's insane. Oh yeah, going from 1.6 to 1.8 mil. Sunlu ABS. Their PLA is fine. I've had no issues with their PLA, but never buy their ABS. It's horrible. Yeah, I don't do that. There's no point. Okay, how's this print coming along? How much time is left? 72. You know what? I'm running out of water here. I'm gonna go get, I'll be back in a minute. I'm gonna go get a drink. Tonight, Alexander Keith's Indian Pale Ale. We're not doing anything electrical or mechanical, so. Do you see any difference between the Phaetus and the Triangle Labs in terms of quality control? From the two Phaetuses that I have and the one TL Dragon, I will say the QC, at least the packaging and maybe the build and machining quality is slightly better on the Phaetus. Functionality, though, is going to be much harder to compare the two. They both perform great. But again, all hot ends perform good. It's just what kind of creature comforts and other bells and whistles you want. Boron roaster when? What? Active diameter. See, that was a memorable that was an idea thrown around a while ago where you would have something that would constantly measure your filament and it would adjust your slicer profile or your extrusion rate. You would have to have it on the firmware to compensate for it. The problem is that's very complicated, and you can just buy good filament and you don't have to worry about the issue because usually it's within margin of error that you're not having to worry about it. Yes, the Phaetus packaging is much better than... I don't even remember what my Dragon came in. It came in with like one of those little plastic hard cases and everything was just kind of thrown in there. I like Keith's. I'm originally from Nova Scotia, so I gotta rep the brand. "100% of whistles, 85% of bells." Yeah, the Phaetus does come out a bit more. Is the Phaetus compatible with existing tool head mount? So, as we found in the stream tonight, it actually has hard mount points that match the Dragon profile, I believe. So you could, I believe, mount this directly into any of the hot ends that the Dragon currently hard mounts to. It also has a groove mount, which we have this groove mounted right now because I didn't realize that it had the hard mount point. So it is groove mounted, and they do have a variant of it that is meant to go on the Mark 8 extruder, or the Micro Swiss, I think it's also called. So if you have an ender, this drops directly in on it. So this is drop-in compatible with, they have a little list here. Yeah, CR10, CR20, basically all the Creality printers, it's drop-in. And then they also have this variant, which for some reason the promo photo for this variant is apparently doing a pole dance because it's that hot. That was bad. I'm sorry, guys, that was bad. But this is like, so they have a V6 compatible and a Mark 8 compatible variant. I haven't seen the black versions anywhere, and honestly, I like the blue. So I could see this being a very attractive hot end for those upgrading to, or those that want to upgrade stock hot ends on existing printers, but don't want to go all the way to Slice Mosquito or a Dragon price point. And personally, in my opinion, there's enough different on here. I wouldn't be calling it a Copperhead clone. The only thing it shares in similarity with the Copperhead is the bimetallic heat break, which you can get those for V6s now. It's Slice innovated it, but now unfortunately it's commonplace. And that's really the only thing it has in common. Because the mounting is completely different, the heater block's completely different. It doesn't use the boron nitride paste to hold stuff in. Hate that stuff. Groove mount must die. Yes, it does. But I'm going to keep it groove mount for now, just to see how it does. What would you mount a pie cam? Where would you mount it? I would mount it right here. Because if you had it right about there, that would be your view. And you're inside the enclosure there, and the bed doesn't travel in that direction. I actually have a spare first-gen pie cam that I'm probably going to mount in here at some point. That's where I would put it. You could also, I wouldn't mount it. You can't really mount it on top, unfortunately. Late to the party, but why is the extruder cool? Looks like it has a breakable heat break and groove mount. So that is one of the downsides to it. It does have a non-rigid, or sorry, it has a structural heat break. The thing is, so does the V6, so does the Volcano, so does the Super Volcano, so does the Chimera. I wouldn't say it's a flaw, it's just a design choice, okay? When you go to make your heater block rigid, there is more into it with design, complexity, whatnot. For all I know, they might not have had the ability to do it with this design. I'm sure they could have, but the added complexity, at that point you have a dragon. And this is obviously trying to price down a dragon or a sliced mosquito. So, yes, I think having a rigid heater block would be an upgrade to this hotend, okay? That is probably one of the biggest downsides to this hotend is you don't have the rigid heater block. The one-handed nozzle changes, while nice, they are a creature comfort thing. As long as you don't crash this thing too hard, I'm sure it'll be fine if you accidentally, drive it 3 millimeters into your bed. I'm sure it'll hold up to an average crash, but I could see it breaking in a super hard crash. But yeah, like, everything doesn't have to be a tank, but being a tank is nice. I don't know. In my opinion, this is like a souped up V6 in terms of what it offers and what it can do. Like, it has a bigger melt zone, a better heat break in terms of preventing heat creep. Mounting options, it can rigid mount. I like that. I do like the design of their heater block. Even though the fact it's not one-handed nozzle change, they do have a specific point for gripping it, so you're not risking damaging your thermistor or heater. I do like it, and I could see where the market for this object is. So think of it more as a souped up V6 than a downgraded mosquito. Your bed spec print. Well, the thing is, now this is the good thing with the switch wire. The switch wire is bigger than it needs to be, so that our frame or the bed doesn't travel outside the frame. So, for example, you have all this extra room here. You can have a camera, and the frame ends here. So you can mount anything here, and there's extrusions under this. Like, this is just coroplast. This is an extrusion here, so you can literally just bolt it right here, and you're fine all day. So there is plenty of room that you can mount a camera to the front of that. Yeah, the Copperhead, I get what they were trying to do with the Copperhead, but honestly, all I need to do is just find a way to price down the mosquito. Unfortunately, where I live in Canada, I can buy 3 dragons for the price of a mosquito, and I can't argue with that. So. Like, I know it sucks. It's the elephant in the room with the slice mosquito and the clones that aren't really clones. They just use the same style of heat break, and everything else is different on them. But it is what it is. And these are hobby level printers. They're not commercial. We're not a commercial entity. You're buying for your own self. It's market, unfortunately. Economics. But I am going to be very interested to see, because I've never actually done one of these coin tolerance tests. So considering this is Cura with a completely eyeballed profile, it's going to be very interesting to see how this pans out. Purple frame V2. That would be fun. I know LDO has all the fancy colors. I still kind of want to build a small V1 for high temp printing, but that's kind of on the back burner of wish list items right now. Because if you are going to do high temp, I would do a V1, and I would do like a 200 V1. That's kind of what I want to build, so I can play around with some of the more fancier plastics. But that's back burner stuff. This stream has been the most fun yet, because I had no plan going into it. Like, I didn't expect the package to show up today. They overnighted it. What can I say? But also, I didn't expect to get all this other stuff. They sent me a sweater. So, Phaetus sent me a sweater with their little, I think he's called Dr. AE or something. So I have a sweater, which it is extra, extra large, which fits me fine, and I wear medium to large depending on the brand. So Chinese extra, extra large fits a average North American average size male just fine. And then I also got some stickers. A real drink for a change. Beer is tasty, I will say. Let's just see. I haven't sworn yet, so we'll see if YouTube flags it for the swear, or for the drink. But I mean, it's printing. I'm not working on electronics. I'm not working on hardware. I'm okay having a wobbly pop. I'm going to convert my ender to sort of high temp. If you enclose your printer properly, you can actually get them quite warm. Eddie the engineer went crazy with insulating his V1, I believe, and I think he almost pushed 70, or he is pushing 70 degrees in that thing. And that's just standard bed heating it. Just, it's insulated to hell, so none of the heat gets out. So, and as we've seen from the Bonsai, a good cardboard box will get you to 40 degrees, no problem. And that's with a 60 watt, 12 volt bed as the only thing heating it. Am I going to print some organizers for that desk? Yeah, the desk, it's not so much organizer, it's just stuff has a place. It's just not in its place. I got to go through this and kind of organize it. Like, I got, my gloves. I have a bin of all kinds of extra screws I need to put away. I've got several bins of extra screws I got to put away. Every now and then I clean it up, and then after like 2 or 3 days, it gets back to where it was. But I do like the fact that the Dragon, it does come with extra, or the Dragonfly, it does come with extra screws that you would need. So if you screw up any of the screws, you have extras. And it does actually come with 4 mounting screws for rigid mounting it. So that is kind of nice. So I might try putting this in the rigid mount just to see how it handles. Because it should be compatible with anything that rigid mounts a Dragon. Because I think the whole pattern is the same. Again, I wish they came with that one Allen key that you want, though. What's cooking on the B2? Let me pull up the camera. So on Tallboy, we have all the Z parts for a V2.4 because V226 has 2.2 Z motor mounts. This is the 2.4 setup. So right now, that's printing. 0.6 millimeter nozzle, 0.3 layer height. It's got the Phaetus Dragon High Flow, eSun ABS Plus, and this is about a 10-hour print. So it's coming along pretty good there. As for this print, 94% done, almost done. Whenever you show something neat on your stream, I always punish my credit card once my nighttime meds kicked in. ABS time. Peak on an ender would be variety. Oh my god. Okay. I don't get the obsession with peak that people have, okay? The majority of things that you can print on a 3D printer, you can print fine in ABS. Like, if you look around you, the majority of things that are plastic in the world are ABS or some form of blend of ABS or polycarbonate or nylon, okay? PET is water bottles. So anyways, PEEK is a super specific plastic, usually only used in super specific cases. Yet everyone and their grandma wants to print PEEK on their Ender 3. It's $400 a roll for one, for the good stuff. And you need a super hot printer and a super hot enclosure to print it. And what are you going to print with it that you actually require PEEK for? Now, don't get me wrong. There are people that need PEEK for whatever purposes, medical, industrial. It does serve a purpose. But if you're at home and you just want to print a PEEK Benchy just to print a PEEK Benchy, you're wasting your time and money, in my opinion. Like, I have 4 Vorons and I do a lot of printer stuff. I don't need to print PEEK. What is your daily driver print speeds on the 2.4? Depending on the object, my quality speed is 40, 80, 120, and that's if I'm printing something like the Iron Man mask or like something that would be like a desk print. And then for I'm just pumping out parts, it's 60, 90, 120, and that's outer wall, inner wall, infill speeds, and then travel 300. Accelerations anywhere from 2 to 5,000 for the most part. Can you change out just the Z parts if you have a 2.1? I don't know if I think the 2.1 is compatible, but I know the 2.2 is, because this guy has 2.2 Z, a 2.4 gantry, and 2.0 random Z idlers, because it's one of the random designs that we had over the years. Fell on the button. Jim Sellers, $5. You're insane, man. Insane in the man brain. What's the next thing you always wanted to have to print? Well, I need to finish the Iron Man mask. As for the next big project I want, I don't know. There are a few things I kind of wanted to do, because honestly, I don't do PIF anymore. I used to do printed forward last summer when 2.1 was the main version. So I used to do a lot of printed forward. Unfortunately, I don't really have the time for that. To dedicate to that, because of just family and whatnot. So I wouldn't be able to guarantee printers were operational all the time and meet time limits and whatnot. I've always toyed around with the idea of doing the donated prosthetic arms, because I have 5 printers. I don't need 5 printers. Honestly, I'd be fine with 1 Voron 2. Like, if I had to cut everything down to 1 printer, it would be a 300mm V2.4. But I have 5 printers. Now, granted, one of them is for demoing. V0 is a backup. Switchwire is for trying out new stuff, because that's why I built the Switchwire. So I got 2 V2s that can output an amazing amount. So honestly, at some point, if I get certain filaments, certain things work out, I do want to try doing one of those printed prosthetic hands and just seeing how that does, and then donating it. Because I just want to try printing one of those, because they look kind of cool, and it's a impressive print. So that's probably going to be one of the later projects, maybe after in the new year or something. Has anyone tried the eSun E-Box? When it comes to drying filament, none of the filaments I have are super hygroscopic, so I haven't had to worry about keeping it dry while printing. I have some Costco plastic totes that I have down here with ABS in it, and I just throw some bags of desiccant in there. Would you try PC ABS? I would love to try PC ABS. That's one of the plastics I want to get a hold of. The problem is polycarbonate does not like greases and oils. Some people have printed Voron parts out of a PC, and especially like the XY joints or the motors, like the Z motor mounts, if the oils in the bearings or grease gets into them, it can actually disintegrate or not dissolve. It basically weakens the part till you start getting layer delamination. So PC is nice. PC ABS is a great plastic. It's used a lot in automotive, but you don't want to really get printed parts in PC oily. PC ABS may fare better though, but I don't have any to try, unfortunately. Hey, Prince done. Robotic server arm. If you watched Joel's stream last night, 3D printing nerd, I caught the beginning of it, but he had this thing called an Edgy, and you can buy them there. It's an off-the-shelf item. It's this little robotic thing that sits on your desk, and you mount a camera on it, and all it does is it has face tracking, and it just follows you around. So I wonder if you could DIY that, because you would just need some sort of hardware that ran an AI that just tracked faces. I'm sure you could do it. But a robotic arm, my cam mount here is robotic, or is printed, and it sucks. Robotic server arm, though, you could do, I'm pretty sure there are, I wouldn't say open source, but there are plans if you wanted to do like a KUKA arm style thing. Hey, the print's done. Okay. So, I'm going to let it cool for a little bit. I know it's PLA, pretty much pop it right off the bed. But we're going to let it cool for a minute. Print complete. Timothy Abraham, $5. Thank you, man. Yes, the print is complete. I might actually finish this stream on time. Open CV and simple servo. There you go. Like, these guys all came in for the Iron Man mask, so I got all these little itty-bitty servos. That's another thing. I might try doing an RC plane at some point. Jim Sellers made me do it. Steve Peterson, $10. Thank you, man. Y'all are insane. Just so you know, Jim Sellers, Tim A. Y'all are insane. Okay? I'm just going to do more streams where I drink beer and people send me stuff to put on printers. I think that's what I'm going to do from now on. Jim Sellers. I'm going to be dragged into court because Jim Sellers' wife is going to be like, why do we have all these charges on the credit card? And they're going to, I don't know what's going on. And I'm going to get dragged into court. Okay, let's pop this off the bed. I don't want to wait for it to cool. So, actually, let me remount the camera right. Shots per donation. No, unfortunately, I did get called back to work. Although I had today booked off, so. They called me back on the week that I had a bunch of days booked off due to vacation. But that was going to be the plan. I would just, be one of those just chatting streamers. Murder witness. You said it right. Timmy. Jimmy? Okay. Greetings. I've been really enjoying your content. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Eric. Hope you're enjoying the streams. Okay. So, flex plate magic. Hey, it came off. I need to get a proper flex plate for switch wire. I can't keep stealing the flex plate from... Okay, so 0.3 works. 2.5 works. 2 works. 1.5 works. Okay, let's see. 1 millimeter? Is it 1 mil? Nope. And 0.5. Okay. So that is our fail point, is 1. Is it 0.1 or 1? Yep, so 1 is the fail point. But up to that, works fine. And these are like little ball bearing joints. Now, again, print quality is good. The fact that 1 and 0.5 don't move is simply the fact that, honestly, it's not really tuned. Like, I didn't do any flow tuning. So I'm sure if I tune the flow on this guy and gave it another shot, it would probably come out perfect. So, yeah, that ain't moving. I'm going to break it off. But let's take a look here at, see if focus is right. Print quality is good though. Any issue that I can see in this print right now, I can attribute to slicer settings. The hot end itself, there's no stringing, but this isn't really a print that you could see a lot of stringing on. Everything came out pretty clean. So, I think that's a pretty good success there. Because again, it's hard to judge, you know, tolerance on an untuned profile. Yeah. I wish I had a better camera for the close-ups. Don't tune PLA, we all waiting for the ABS. So yeah. So I am actually pretty impressed. The heat sink is bone cold. There's plenty of air movement. So it functioned fine. Let me actually heat it up and I'm going to pull it out of the printer. I'm going to pull it out. We're going to take a look at it just to see how everything fared after a print. Meant to be printed on a raft. Well, I don't think that would be an issue with this one. As you can see, the bottom layer didn't connect. Like the issue we're having is, I think it's around the middle point probably. It's honestly probably the point where it curves back up. And it probably is like maybe an overhang issue or something. But as you can see, the bottom parts, printing this on a raft wouldn't have changed anything. I can't spell one too many beers. We could tell, Jim. Tried an official BL Touch. Honestly, I have a legit BL Touch. I don't use it for reasons. I don't like it. I don't like the way it works. I'd rather just go with an inductive probe. Or just manually leveling. Okay, so let me pull the filament out. Extrude. And then retract. And then I'm going to crank the fan up so we can cool this hot end off pretty quick. And then I'm going to pull the hot end. We're going to take a look at it. And then that will probably be it for the stream. Back to manual leveling. Honestly, on my V1, it had a 300 by 300 bed, and I manually leveled it, and it held manual level for about 6 months before I ripped it apart. So there is nothing wrong with manually leveling. It's just the problem is you see people have issues with it on enders where their bed is 1/8 inch aluminum or 3/16 or really thin aluminum, and it's not that your leveling's going, it's just your bed's warped to hell. Don't judge me. I won't judge you, Jim. I will thank you though for the $5. The Easy ABL. The Easy ABL works. The problem is it's really overpriced, and I have a video, but you can pretty much do bed mesh leveling with one of these guys for $3 and a 5-cent BAT 85 diode. That's how I do it on the Bonsai, and it has an aluminum bed, like a 1/8 inch thick aluminum bed and PI on top. And these guys have an 8 mil sense distance, which is enough to trigger off a 1/8 aluminum bed and give you enough accuracy to have within a single step layer height. So the only issue with inductive probes, you have to whenever you do your probing routine, you have to do it consistently because the 0 point will shift with temperature, but as long as you probe at the same temperature every time, it's not an issue. Are there any advantages to the big inductive probe and the afterburner compared to something like a Pinda probe? The Pinda probe has a built-in temperature compensation thingy, I believe, but it has a shorter sense distance. That is one of the downsides to it. For example, V226 here has been using the same $3 probe for 2 years, and I will set a whole plate of parts to print and leave for work before the bed's even at room temperature. Like, I trust it that much. Okay. So the hot end's under 100. I'm not going to burn myself that bad. Let's pull it. See how it does. I'm not going to fully take it apart. I'm just going to take the hot end assembly out. We'll take a look at it. And that will probably be it for the stream tonight. Oh, another good thing about Core XY. Hey, I want to raise my gantry. Yeah, I raised my gantry. And that's how quick you can pull a hot end. Okay. So, a little bit of plastic that stayed on. The nozzle. Now this is that copper plated nozzle. So it's copper nozzle with a, I believe it's nickel plating. Come on down. There we go. So the nozzle is nice and clean. Nothing really stuck to it. I got a little bit of plastic there, but that comes right off. That's why I like these plated nozzles. I find they're very good at handling buildup. Like, I normally don't have buildup issues with them. Heat sinked, everything looks fine. Pop the sock off. See if we got any issues with melting. Everything's shiny. Just make sure everything's still tight. Yep, see, groove mount can't do that. However, they do give you the wrench so that you can grab it without having to worry about accidentally crushing any of the wires. Yep, still tight. So yeah, that was the first print on the Phaetus Dragonfly. It is a standard flow hot end. It's not a high flow. I'm happy. Sadly, the Pinda V2 temp compensation doesn't work without a patch file. It sucks. I believe Clipper does support it. I know Triangle Labs has the Dragon Hot End. Wondering how different they are. I believe TL also has the Dragonfly now as well. I'm not 100% sure. But TL and Phaetus, for the most part, the hot ends are the same. As far as I can tell. I don't know the exact story. From what I've gathered, from what I've heard, and what other people have said, is either Phaetus is the one that makes them directly, and then they sell overflow or lower quality ones to TL, or there's a single OEM that makes them for both, and Phaetus gets first pick. I don't know exactly the arrangement. But they're essentially the same hot end, just different packages. Okay. So that is it. We do have our little printed coin thingy. That is pretty much it, I think, for the stream tonight. We got 9 minutes left before 11, and I'll keep the stream up to 11. So, does anyone have any questions about the hot end before I close down, or any questions in general? This stream, again, was mostly just an impromptu, hey, let's throw this in a printer and see how it handles. just throwing it in a printer and printing something. And honestly, I'm impressed. I'll take a picture of this guy, just so I can share it, put it on my Twitter, just so you guys can see the print quality itself. So if you're not following my Twitter, it's at 3DPNero. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit the button below. Also hit like. We have almost 100 people here right now. I don't see 100 likes. Just click. Click. I don't know. Beer is tasty. What version of the torque wrenches are those? So the torque wrench I use, I found the design on Thingiverse. Honestly, about 2 years ago now. Whenever I got my mosquitoes, which is like a year and a half, 2 years ago, they're like, oh, you have to torque it to a certain amount. I went on Thingiverse. I printed one of these off, and I've been using it ever since. Also, we had no oozing on this, so you had no issues cold tightening it. So this is if you go on Thingiverse and find this model of torque wrench, if you search torque wrench, it'll come up. This is printed in ABS, and it's rated for 1.5 Newton meters, but I believe the ratings on it is based on a PETG print. So I think this is 2.5 or 3 Newton meters. I'm not 100% sure. So cold tightening these nozzles are fine. Again, this is with the nozzle that came with it, and we had zero ooze issue there, so I'm impressed with it there. Why am I watching it at 5 a.m.? Because time zones are a thing. Thanks for convincing me to go full spread cycle. Looks like Stealth Chop was messing with my Z hop. Yes, okay, so no matter what, on all Z motors, on all my printers, I run spread cycle with interpolation off. Okay? Switchwire is a little bit different because Korak said. But on my printers, I run core interpolation off on Z because you want full step. You want the lowest chance possible of anything going wrong on your Z, because if anything goes wrong on your Z, you're going to see it right away in your print. So apparently saying like and subscribe, I have to approve it on chat. I don't know why. Yep. So let's take a look here. You know what? I got to zoom on this. So this is the issue. Look at that zoom. Look at that zoom, guys. Quality. You can see the belt is rubbing on the flange. So all I got to do is loosen the 22th gear, and I'll shift it, and that should fix my drift issue. So bring it back in frame, back in frame. There we go. Too high. There we go. So yeah, so that was the issue. So it was just literally the belt rubbing on the frame or on the flange. Coin 2.0 freed up for something, but something I can't explain. It honestly could have just been a booger on the nozzle that jams these up. I've seen these in the past. These are kind of not perfect for testing because it's such a small surface area. It's very easy for something to jam them other than tolerance. Credit card finally stopped. I think they think it's fraud. Oh, these are all going to get back charged, aren't they? I'm gonna look up tomorrow. I'm going to have 50 cents in donations. Okay, let's fix this. Okay, so not that one first, because that's the... I will say, I love how easily the gantry moves on this guy. Okay, so that. Now I just need to shift it ever so slightly that way. Okay, make sure that moves right. Oh, I gotta move it more. Yeah, that's exactly what all it was just simply the 20 tooth wasn't lined up perfectly. Yeah, a little bit more. There's quite a bit in here, actually. There we go. You just got a chase fraud alert. Oh, jeez, man. I don't mind the donations. Don't get me wrong. I do not mind the donations. But that many that quick, I could see where your credit card was like, what the heck is this guy doing? Y'all are loco. Although, in all fairness, I do thank anyone who donates to the stream. It makes doing this a lot easier. The support you guys give, I'm actually legit impressed and blown away by. You guys are awesome. Okay. So that's it. That's fixed. Oh, Midwest Steel. Yes, if you're in the US, please don't buy your metal from Midwest Steel. Their credit card security is horrible. Okay. So I think I'm going to end it about here. So, bring it around back to the beginning. So what you saw tonight, we took a look at the Phaetus Dragonfly BMO variant hotend. Okay, this was provided to me from Phaetus directly. They contacted me. They offered to send me the hotend on the condition that I do a review on it, and there will be a full review done on this hotend. Another reason I did it on the Switchwire is I have a V6 hotend that I can directly swap between the two. So that way, ooh, noise canceling cut out. That was weird. So this way I'll be able to do direct comparison prints between the two hotends, and I'll be able to give a final verdict on it. Now, initial impressions of the hotend. I'm impressed. I do view it as more of a direct upgrade versus the V6, or they do have a variant that is Mark 8 compatible, and this is the variant here. No, that's my ceiling. They do have a variant that is Mark 8 compatible for Ender printers. So I do view this hotend as something that would be a good upgrade for those looking to upgrade from a printer that has a stock hotend that they're not satisfied with, because it does have some features that would be beneficial. Better design, better heat break design, better heat creep prevention, and it's all metal. I know a lot of printers come with non all metal hotends, so if you try to print hotter plastics such as ABS, you're going to run into issues. So I do view it as a worthy upgrade to those. Now, of course, more testing will come. This was, again, initial impressions. But again, the fact that you can hard mount it, rigid mount it, it does have 4 holes that are tapped on top. So you can rigid mount this variant at least. Blew me away. And it comes with a nice nozzle. It comes with good packaging, good instructions. And I do believe this is a good hotend. So I'll do some further tests on it. But we'll see once we go a little bit more in depth with this. So let me just check up on chat one more time before I say good night. E2 bunch of numbers, $5. You deserve this more than I. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I hope you all enjoyed the stream tonight. Jim, you are one crazy guy. Corbin, $6.99. Hope you enjoyed the stream, man. Maker Viking. Hello, Maker Viking. I don't know if you're chatting during the stream, but hope you enjoyed it. If not, the whole VOD is there. I know people ask if chat pops up. The chat will show up. It just takes YouTube a couple hours to process it. So, it's 11 p.m. This beer is almost done. I'm going to have to go get another. But at this point, I'm going to call it. Hope you enjoyed the stream tonight. I hope you enjoyed the first look at the Phaetus Dragonfly BMO variant hotend. Hope you had fun. Hope you learned something. I learned something. We all learned something. That's always a good night. So, tomorrow is Friday, and then the weekend. I'll see you guys Saturday night. Take care. Wash your hands. Be safe out there. Peace.